Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic edition of DialogBOX. This is magic. Hi, I'm Laughingboy LP. I was having a fun time. I forgot that I had to set everything up. I'm just checking to make sure that everyone's in their right positions, and they are, thankfully. Boy, it's been a year, hasn't it? I am your host. If you're new to this show, it's a podcast. It's a visual novel stream. I talk to my friends and then I pay them afterwards.
Don't tell them that part.
Look, I'm very transparent. I am extremely. I don't lie to my fans, who I also pay.
It's a very expensive job he has.
Isn't it? Isn't that why they call it pay-per-view?
You guys are getting paid?
Yeah, I pay them to view it. So yes, if you're new to the show, we talk about video games, we talk about content creation, we talk about all sorts of different things. You can find us over on YouTube.com, right here, youtube.com/LaughingBoyLP. And if you're not watching this and you're listening to this in your car or, anywhere on Spotify, DialogBOX. Spoofy. This is what you get with the live stuff. I'm sorry.
We're doing it live.
I'm not restarting. With me are three very lovely guests who are extremely patient with me. Over on the top right of your screen, we've got ForestMinish. Hello.
Hi. Happy to be here.
Over on below me is Josh Jepson.
You're below.
Yes, below me, he wrote in. And then over to Josh's immediate right is ProtonJon. We're all in the same room. We just have different backgrounds.
Yeah, it's a really varied room, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go step out of frame, and I'll just show up in Laughingboy's frame. It's real weird.
The hand. So does anybody remember 2021? Feels like it was just 22 days ago, isn't it? Doesn't it feel like that?
I barely remember anything at all.
Approximately.
It's hard. I have to remember to look up because I have a new setup with a light, and so I'm staring into the heavens, aka my audience. I'm talking directly at you and to them, but I'm also trying to look at the webcams. So, but enough of my time wasting tactics to try to warm everybody up, including myself. We're going to talk about 2021 in terms of the video games that we played. And we played a lot. I played a lot. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I know, John, you played a ton of video games this year.
I've played a couple.
Yeah.
One or two.
I played way more video games this year than I did last year, for sure. Last year I was not even remotely ready for this. And this year I have a decent I think I have it's not a ton. It's not John level of video games here, but I got
because it's just a level for me now. It's just this is John. This is John. John strength, John level.
What's the one above S tier? That's the one.
Yeah.
J, clearly above S.
Awesome,
yes.
Sadistic John. So I don't know if I would consider what I did John levels of video games, but I would consider it actually, no, I can check. No, maybe did I delete it? No, I totally did. I can't even look back.
Deleted my entire list of video games.
Yeah, I just burned a shit ton of money. Just for fun.
Just happens.
Yeah. Did someone say pay? Yes. If you continue watching, I'll just slip a 20 and you'll just take it.
Good deal.
That's how it works. That's how YouTube works.
This just came in for me, so just so you know, you wrapped it and everything. It's impressive.
I still you joke about that. There are things that I've been supposed to send you for 3 years now, and they're just still sitting in the other room. Look, I'll go get them.
You have a box. You picked up something for me from MagFest because I'm trying to finish the North American Super Nintendo collection, and you picked up one of the games I needed at Mag 'cause I couldn't make it this year.
Yeah. And I'll put that in the Mirror's Edge bag with the Ninja Gaiden stylus that I've been meaning to send you since the year of our Lord 2019.
Good times. Good times.
Good times when I could go to the post office, and not worry about falling
Anything.
ill. I got the post office cold. Yeah. So, checks in the mail, everybody. It is. It's a very expensive hobby. Let's go around the block and talk about what our year looked like, and we can just kind of talk about what we played, talk about the circumstances around what we've done or why we chose the life that we've lived. ForestMinish, I'll start with you because you're brand new to this conversation.
Forever, I always have a bad habit of starting so many games and never finishing them, and 2021 was no different with that. I think everybody probably can agree with this, that they have a backlog that is miles and miles long, and for the past couple of years, I have been trying to go back and play some classics that I have missed throughout the years, games that maybe have released long time ago, that just for some reason I never played or never finished. So for the past 2 years, I've been trying to do that. In 2021, I was able to at least start and in some cases finish a lot of those types of games. And then otherwise, a lot of the other stuff that I played were just Nintendo first party games.
Mhm.
I got a PS5 and I played a couple PS5 games here and there. So it was kind of a mix all around of stuff that I played. It was a good year for games.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I picked up a PS5 this year also, and the only game that I've played on it so far though is Ratchet and Clank. So, we'll get to that. But no, it's been a good year for games for me actually. Most of the other stuff, like you said, is has been the first party Nintendo stuff, and yeah, no, it's been good for that stuff though too. And 2022 is shaping up to be even better.
Even better. It's gonna be awesome.
I'm excited.
Fantastic. John, how about you?
Well, I feel bad because I usually come a little more prepared because we do our Game of the Year podcast for my actual podcast right before we do this one. So I've got detailed notes.
I
Apparently,
have surprisingly detailed notes for me. So.
I played 32 games that were released last year, at least last year, the ones I could remember. I managed to get actually I got both systems in 2020. I got the PS5 at launch because I had actual pre-order, and then I got lucky and got a Xbox One right before Christmas that year. So I was already used to both systems. So really, it's just the fact that, just finding stuff to play on both systems. I feel like at the beginning of the year, I was using my PlayStation 5 more, and then by the end of the year, I was using my Xbox more. And then it kind of leveled out because at the end of the day, I was still using my Switch more than both of them. But at the same time, Nintendo sends out those here's your year in review email.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got one of those, and I think they said yeah, you played 400 hours less of your Switch this year than you did the year prior. I'm like, oh, okay. Cool, I think.
Yeah, I think I got the same one, and in 2020, I think it was over 600 hours for me. And then in 2021, it was oh, you maybe played 100 hours. Good job. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that email. I'm trying to remember what it even is called when they send it to you.
Well, and the Sony one came out today, I think, or yesterday. Because I remember people were talking about their Sony PlayStation year in review. So it's a bit late, but I haven't looked at mine yet.
I haven't even seen those.
Mine didn't even work. I keep getting an error that won't tell me my stats, and I was so upset because I love statistics on things like that, year in review type wrap-ups. I was so sad.
Rebecca, did she get a PS5? Yeah, she just got one, so we'll just, we didn't track any of it. Whoopsie doodles.
Darn.
I mean, I played a lot of failing Returnal. I think that was the start of my year this year, was just trying and failing miserably to get through Returnal. I do enjoy that game, but it is difficult. It is something that I feel would be good for a stream, but I also feel bad because one of my friends is really interested in what Returnal is. It's basically just you crash land on an alien planet. You're basically a Sigourney Weaver-esque type character, a la Aliens franchise, and going through and it is a roguelite game where you die and then you start back over, but it's also very large. So when you could go like a good 30-40 minutes in one run and maybe just get through the first area, and then you die and then you start over. So runs can take a very long time. And I just felt bad because like she was interested in the story, so she would watch me play with trying to get through this game, and then it would just be like 5 hours, and it's like I didn't really get any story this time, but we'll catch you next time. And I was like, this is almost like streaming, but slightly less interesting. But I do enjoy it. It's hard. It's a hard game, and I'm a little baby.
Yeah.
But a lot of my year is actually like framed by Pokemon.
Oh yeah.
Well,
I'm pretty like not strongly opinionated, but I was pretty disappointed by Diamond and Pearl remasters, which I mean a lot of people were, but there's also like the defenders, and I don't want to be on one side of the issue or the other. Pokemon is very divisive these days, but it was pretty disappointing to me. So I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts on it though.
so I'll get to Brilliant Diamond in a bit, but I was actually, so if you've been following along, you know, if you've been reading my blog on Twitter, I've been trying to get the national decks, but I've been doing it in a way where I get them from their origin locations. So that means a lot of transferring stuff up and then replaying old games that I like may have erased the save file for dumb circumstances. So I've replayed. I actually replayed Pearl before Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl came out, and then I finished up like everything with Platinum. I actually played like Black 2, and now I'm going through White 1, and so a lot of it was just like replaying old Pokemon games. I actually played I played Gold, Soul Silver, and Crystal in 1 year, one right after the other, to finish that Johto Dex. So I'm good.
A lot. Then you have to transfer them all up, and it
Well,
takes some time.
Yeah, I mean, with Gold and Crystal it was easy because the Virtual Console games, you just like shoot them straight into bank. And then they're technically like Gen 7 Pokemon, so I can't like move them into X and Y or anything like that. But I'm good on Johto for a while. I will be fine not going back there for a couple of years.
Knowing your luck, they'll
they'll announce Let's Go
Johto
Johto
this year.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yay.
It's funny, I've actually been playing through Heart Gold, so that's been most of my year has been like kind of not the whole year, but like the last like couple of months I've been like slowly playing that game.
And I still really like Soul Silver. I mean, I still technically like the Johto games, but I really like the improvements Soul Silver did. Yeah, and then I went through a lot of Resident Evil. I've never played the original Resident Evil, so I played through that. Technically the remake, so I still want to play the actual original. And then I blasted through 7 so I could play 7 and 8, and I blasted through 8 as well. And John, I know you had experiences with 7.
Yeah, I played through 7 for the first time last year and hated it. Hated it. I was super jazzed to get to 8, and then after I was on 7, I'm like, no, I'm good. No, I'm good.
I did like 8 better. But
everyone keeps telling me that. They're like, yeah, knowing you'll like 8 better. I'm like, it's lower on the priority list now. Let's put it that way.
That's the thing, though, because you and I did talk about it for a little bit, and I'm kind of like, I don't know if I could say, knowing you would like 8. But all I can really say is I liked it better than 7. So if you decide to play it, let me know. But I can understand
sure at some
why.
point I will. It's just like I said, it's just slid right on down the priority list.
And very understandably. Yeah, no. Which one is 7? Sun and Moon. Yeah, 7 is Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, all of those. Yeah, and then I decided to further disappoint myself by catching up on Kingdom Hearts. So I I beat Dream Drop Distance and 3. That was another one where I was like, I played 7, then 8, and then I played Dream Drop Distance and 3. 3 was fine, I guess. Dream Drop Distance was a bore. I really didn't enjoy that one. So, but yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about that. And then, yeah, I played Ratchet and Clank. I actually played Legend of Mana right before they announced the remake. So I was like, I'll just finish the one I started. And then, yeah, like some of the major Nintendo stuff like Mario Party and Dread. Had a good time with both of those games. Anyone else that you want to follow up or?
Yeah. So you were mentioning Ratchet and Clank. I really enjoyed Ratchet and Clank. I really enjoyed it. It was nice to see them. The thing is that I was also, because I'm such a huge Ratchet and Clank fan. All the little details about it that didn't quite stack up. Like the story was kind of so. I felt like it went by a little fast. I did like the characters that they introduced, and like the way that they did the alternate dimension characters was really fun. But I felt like the gameplay was like pretty safe, which I appreciated. I feel like that's a good place to start for Ratchet and Clank on the PS5, but I'm really hoping that they follow it up with another one.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure they will.
I mean, they didn't on the PS4, so.
I mean,
I guess, well, because they were too busy with the movie, and then like the remake was not treated very well. Like it wasn't really.
It was really good.
It was really
good,
but and unfortunately I didn't wind up seeing that movie. But
I heard kind of middling to bad things about it, honestly, which sucks because the writing in those games is usually pretty sharp.
It was very average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did enjoy the remake. And obviously I think Insomniac's been really busy. I think it took them a while just to get Spider-Man up and running, so they did the remake. And then they had.
And now they're working on 2 games. They're working on Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine.
So they've got a big. They're busy.
Yeah, their resources are pretty tied up. So it kind of makes sense the direction they went with it. I mean, honestly, I'll say that the best part about the game is how freaking gorgeous it is. But that's just everything on the PS5. It feels like.
Yeah, even Returnal, which is like mostly bleak atmosphere, is very pretty at times because a lot of the particle effects look really nice and just kind of going through the atmosphere. And I think the haptic feedback on the LNR triggers are really awesome in my opinion. Just kind of going through, and especially with machine gun type weapons, you really feel the kickback on the triggers as you're firing. I thought that was a very nice and welcome change. And then a lot of unfinished stuff on my end. So yeah, I still haven't beaten Returnal. I still haven't beaten Age of Calamity, actually.
Yeah, neither have I. Neither have I.
Coming from a big Zelda fan.
It really did occur. Like, that is a game that happened. And then
I feel bad because like it's a good Dynasty Warriors game, but it's just like you got to care about the story, and then you got to like Dynasty Warriors a lot. And even then, I'm not right in the mood for this right now.
Well, I will play a Dynasty Warriors game until I am practically just vomiting it out. Like, I will play it until it is gross to me, and then I'd never want to touch another Dynasty Warriors game for like another year and a half.
I made the mistake of getting ready for Age of Calamity by playing through the Switch Hyrule Warriors, and then I'm like, why did I do this? Because now I don't want to touch it anymore.
I kind of did the same thing, actually. I played through the one on the Switch, the re-release of.
The re-release is real good.
Too much.
It's really good.
That game is great. It's too much game.
Too much. I didn't get the DLC for Age of Calamity. That's something that years later, when I have an itch for it, I'll get it and I'll play through it. Maybe. Too much.
Yeah.
And
I mean, honestly, there are a lot of Switch games that I'm just kind of like, I haven't finished them yet. I have 2 lists. I have like games I beat and games that I'm trying to beat. And some years, some of them have stayed. I still have Borderlands 2 on here. I haven't beaten.
I never finished it either. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
How do you guys keep track of your games that you're playing and what you want to beat and what you've been playing? Do you keep track of it anywhere?
Just
I've got my whole game
this.
collection listed online, so whenever I beat a game, I mark it off, so I know I've done it. But if I'm just playing a game, it's just like, yeah, the case is probably around. I'll probably remember I'm still working on it. I only usually try to play 1 or 2 at a time, basically.
Yeah, I don't really keep track of any of that.
I play a ton of them at a time.
I'm very much all over the place with how I'm playing them. I just like I start a thing and I think, oh, I'm really gonna be into this. This is gonna be the next thing that I sit and play every day and in the evenings or whatever. And I played like the first hour and then I'm like, all right,
the lies we tell
What's
ourselves.
the next one?
for streams, it's just like cases are everywhere. They're all over the floor, on the walls, etc. But then I'll go upstairs like, all right, what's on my PS5 pile? There's one game on the coffee table. Oh, guess that's what I'm currently playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy it is.
Yeah, no, I got put away. It became Balan Wonderworld thanks to the podcast. So that was great.
No.
Good luck.
That was
so
a ride.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I don't know anything about that game other than that people say it's bad. So
It should be way better than it actually was. There's just a bunch of dumb decisions that hold it back, but they really hold it back.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
The creator had to finally retire.
I don't know.
I think he's making mobile games now. He just had to leave Square though.
Oh yeah, basically they were like, it's a one and possibly done deal, so do well. And he went, okay, and then Balan Wonderworld came out.
It did bad. It
Oh,
did bad.
no.
Did not.
That's too bad.
Yeah, there's so many dumb decisions. Like there's a good game. Like the actual exploring is fun. The powers are fun, but like it's a one button game literally where every face button and both of the triggers all do the same action, and certain power ups take away the ability to do things like jump. So you can just be in a situation where you can never jump because of the power combination you have. It just doesn't feel fun. It just feels like work. And then like, I think I did the math. It was like a fourth of the actual trophies you have to get in the main game are tied to a rhythm game that you have to like get a perfect on. If you don't get a perfect on the rhythm game, you don't get the trophy, and you can't try again. You have to go beat the boss of that world to get the item to respawn to try it again.
Oh, that is so annoying.
There's like I said, there's so many weird dumb decisions. If you're just playing it for the sake of playing it and skip all that stuff, it's all right. It's just a mediocre 3D platformer that still had weird issues. But if you 100% it, it's abysmal until you get to the end game. The end game is the actually fun part.
Have fun with that.
I can't wait to get to that end game. I saw a lot of, so I watched Austin Eruption's video on Balan. It's literally like I played all of it and read the book so that you didn't have to do any of it video. And so I'm good. And yeah, I kind of agree, like at a concept, a one button game can work because we've played Sonic the Hedgehog and that's what Sonic the Hedgehog is, I guess. Yeah. It's just a combination of buttons that allow you to do different things. So you spin, dash, or you jump. But it's then try not to make a game that's that convoluted.
Yeah, and I also found out the team that actually made the game itself is Arzest, the guys who did Yoshi's New Island and a bunch of other games that are also very well received. So I'm just like, oh no, this just had a lot going against it. Damn.
Wow.
I still haven't played New Island. I've played DS and I didn't enjoy that one as much. So I heard I have some awesome things to look forward to with New Island. My 3DS backlog is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I haven't touched my 3DS in ages. The only time I need it is for streams at this point.
Yeah.
I've just been using it to play Heart Gold.
Yeah.
I do. I think I might. I was just about to start playing Majora's Mask again, though. I was thinking, but we'll see.
Yeah, and now
they're also releasing it on the NSO next month. So
yeah. Do you want to play the N64 version again, or?
Yeah.
I would play the 3DS version if I were you. If you've never played it before.
I have played it. It's been a while though, so I'm thinking I may go through and play the 3DS version again.
I still need to beat one of the two. That was just the one. Like there are 3 Zelda games I never really finished. It's that one. And then the Oracles games, like those are the 3 that I just
don't say that in front of me.
Oracles.
Well, I didn't, I was a child when the Oracles games came out, and that just never came up on a Christmas list. Now that I have the money to buy it, it's now more expensive than it used to be. So
yep.
Yeah,
The only-
Oracle of Ages
They're
was
on
my
the
first
3DS
Zelda game.
Virtual
So
Console. You can get them
Oh,
for
yeah.
like $7.
I do
There you
actually
go.
have them on the virtual console. It's just a matter of,
There you go.
sitting down and doing it.
playing them.
Yeah, now I
good.
have
They're
no
really
more
good.
excuses other than, I just haven't done it.
That's
There's
another game I'd
backlog.
love to see them revisit. The Oracle games.
Well, it would be Capcom at this point since they did those and Minish Cap, right?
And Minish Cap.
Mhm.
They did, yep.
And they didn't do Four Swords Adventures, but they did do Four Swords, like the original DSi version. Or it's because it's
I think
based-
I thought they did the multiplayer for the
They
Link to the
did.
Past re-release, which had the Four Swords in it.
Okay, so I know they did that one. I just can't remember if they did the DSi re-release version of it.
For some reason, I thought that was Nintendo.
Could have been. I don't know
Who
why.
knows? You can't get it anymore because Nintendo's like, yeah, just take it away.
And then they did the anniversary version on the 3DS, and then they're like, yeah, just don't worry about it.
Lasted 4 days.
Ugh,
That's
so
how we
dumb.
celebrate our anniversaries, by putting things out and then removing them.
Yeah, I feel like a
Nintendo.
game like Four Swords Adventures would work so much better now than before, even. Like,
Absolutely.
online and all that. Yeah, like it would be so much better now. Like they should definitely revisit that.
Yeah,
I mean, if Pac-Man Versus can get re-released, I feel Four Swords can get re-released.
there's
right?
hope.
We
So
shall see.
now that we've gone through our years, unless there's anything we would like to add, I have no problem just continuing that part of the conversation. But otherwise, we can move on to our top 3 of the year 2021. So I've done this episode a couple times before, but in case you're new, what I'll do is we will go through from 3 to 2 to 1, counting down what our favorite games of 2021 were. But we'll go, Rebecca will do 3, we'll go around the table, we'll each do 3, and then we'll go around the table again, do 2, and then go around one more time and do our game of the year for 2021. I'm super interested to see what this list is going to look like. Again, the rules were that it didn't have to come out in 2021. You just had to have played it for the first time and beaten it in 2021, or at least played enough of it to go, yeah, this is good. Like, you can't beat Animal Crossing, right? Right? You can't beat it. Like, you can't finish it. There's no end.
Debatable.
Depends on what your goal is.
Yeah.
Are we also including games that released in 2021?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
No, absolutely not.
I didn't know if you wanted 2 different things.
No, only retro games here in this house.
Only NES games. That's it.
Only Banjo.
You guys didn't get the memo?
If the game is visible in your camera right now, it can be in the running. So I am clearly
There
leading.
you go.
I have Shantae back there, so we're
Oh God,
Oh,
I don't
there you
even know. Oh, I think Rayman 2 is under that Luigi hat. I'm pretty sure.
All right, here we go. My game
Fantastic.
number 3 is Hot Wheels Stunt Team Racing for the Game Boy Advance.
hell yeah.
That made my list too.
My number
classic.
my number 1 is Head On Soccer. For the
My number one is the EverDrive for the Game Boy. Play all your games.
Hold on. Give me a second.
How do you have that within arm's reach right now?
2021 was an interesting year for gaming.
This is all the Game Boy stuff that's within arm's reach right now.
Wow, I like that.
2021.
Did someone get a Retroid Pocket? Not Retroid
Here-
Pocket.
this
Analog
I
Pocket.
know-
This is my
No.
favorite game
Analog.
of 2021.
Screw me over.
This Banjo Kazooie puzzle, 1,000
Puzzle.
pieces.
It's a game. It counts.
All right, here we go.
Knocked over that pile of games. Fantastic.
So, bonjour. Here are all the games that I can use. It's mostly DS games. I think some PSP games in there. So look forward to Deadhead Fred as my
Hell
number
yeah.
1 game of 2021.
Hell yeah,
Uh,
Deadhead Fred.
What
John
the
McGinley's
hell?
finest hour. I will make a video about that. No, this is too heavy for me to knock over like a cat. So, this is just going to stay with me for... Yes, I did get an analog pocket. Hello.
Ooh, jealous.
I was unable to. I have to wait till end of year to get mine.
Same.
Yeah. I guess some people are getting their quarter ones. Yes, I am flexing, Elias. But only because I was asked to.
Well, if you want me to flex, I'm sure I can find something to flex with here in this office.
No, just show the pictures you showed me yesterday. That's a hard flex. I was like, Final Fight guy in box. No, okay, fine. Yeah, I'm totally okay.
I have to get up if I want to get that, though. So here, the closest box game I have is NHL Stanley Cup for the Super Nintendo. There we go.
Ooh,
I actually
that's
think
really
big business,
pretty.
baby.
I'll have to go look. I actually think I have that in box too.
Nice.
And Ken Griffey, the finest of SNES games in box, and Resident Evil 2 on the N64. All right, enough screwing around. Let's go through our number threes. ForestMinish, what is yours?
Okay, you guys can't laugh at this one.
You're laughing
game.
right now.
I know. Well, I'm allowed to laugh. It's my game. So before 2021, I had never beat the original Legend of Zelda, but this past year, I finally sat down and I played it. I used Philip Summers' hand-drawn game guide to get myself through it. I didn't use any save states. I didn't use any internet resources besides his. Whatever he had in that book, a pull-out map that he had hand-drawn, some like little dungeon map written directions that he had in there. And I played it all on stream, and it was such a fun experience to do that. I did let my audience kind of tell me some secrets, some things. It kind of felt like old school, like playground talk type of things. Really, really fun. I feel like as big of a Zelda fan as I am, the fact that it took me this long to actually sit down and play The Legend of Zelda from start to end. It was very long overdue, and while it might not be the best Zelda game to hold up, it is worth playing, I think, even years later to see where I think the roots come from a lot of my favorite games.
Yeah.
I just see Elias in chat going, "You've got to be kidding me."
I've never actually finished it myself, but it is very charming.
And in your badge,
I feel bad
Rebecca.
because
many people can say that they've played The Legend of Zelda for the first time in 2021.
That's true.
I feel bad
True.
because a couple years back, when me and my now wife were just dating, she led me through a bunch of games from her childhood that I hadn't beaten, and Zelda 1 was one of them. And then we beat it, and I'm like, all right, I'm good.
She's just like sitting there going, like, "So what'd you think?" And you're like,
she likes Zelda 2 more, to be fair. She likes Zelda 2 way more. And I'm just like, yeah, Zelda 1 doesn't hold up as well as I remember it holding up.
"Do we have Josh in chat? Did he just hear
It
that?"
definitely doesn't.
Oh, other
doesn't
Josh.
Other
hold
Josh, yeah.
I would say
Hey,
it doesn't
Josh, are you
hold
here
up
right
well in terms
I'm not
of.
here.
But I don't know. I feel like for someone like me who appreciates the top-down Zelda games a lot, and A Link to the Past was my first ever video game, and it's my favorite ever video game. It was an important one, I think, for me to go back to appreciate, I think, how far the series has come.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I have this weird mentality about going back to the older games. Like, I'll play retro games all the time. Like, they're in frame here. And Link's Awakening is my favorite Zelda, and I love Link to the Past, but man, Zelda 1, I can't. I have the same issue with Mario 64. Like, I can't go back to Mario 64 and have fun like I would with, like, Odyssey or even Sunshine.
Ooh,
It's just first game syndrome is a major thing, and I struggle to get through it. Like, I love Metroid games, hate Metroid 1.
Yeah,
I can see that though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, don't know. I like going back to them.
No, I can respect it.
Yeah, it's weird because like I don't. Zelda 1's not my favorite, but I can pretty easily go back to that one and just like if I just want to knock out a game, that I'm not caring about like what I play. I just want to play something. I'll play through Zelda 1 again. I mean, that's why I did it for Zeuthon last year, because it's like this is the one I know fairly well that I don't need that much help. But it's also easy to replay because it's so short. So
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I should probably go through it at some point. I went through a good chunk of it, but I don't think I ever actually finished it.
It felt really rewarding for me at the end because I had never beat it, and because I think I was trying to play it as authentically as possible.
Mhm.
I don't know. It
I
felt
like that you
worthwhile
used
for
that
me.
guide. I just went on that guide alone and not like used internet
No,
resources. and
nothing
stuff.
on the
That's really-
internet. Yep.
I like that.
yeah, I have all these guides back there. I still like that idea, just sitting there with a guidebook, and just kind of going through and checking things and especially if you want to complete everything. I'm kind of like here or there about whether I like it, whether I prefer using guides over going in totally blind. But there's always something really nice about just kind of having that out and just reading it while you're playing through. And then somebody in the chat was just kind of like, with guides, rewinds, and save state, like they also played through the first Zelda game, but that however you want to play the game, like, doesn't really matter as long as you're enjoying it, and as long as, like, there are some games where if you didn't have a guide, you'd have a totally different opinion of it.
I am not knocking save states at all. I use them for most older games like that.
I actually really like save
just
states.
to get through them, just so I can get through the game, because I don't have as many hours in the world as I did when I was a kid, when I was growing up. I would rather beat the game with save states than spend weeks on it.
Well, I like save states because, like, as a person who's trying to, so, like, as a musician, when I used to practice, you don't, like, mess up and then go, shit, all right, go back to the beginning and just start over. You practice that one part until you get good at it, and then you can start from an earlier point and then try to get past it. And so with save states, to me, like, that's what save states do. Because when you're not playing with save states, you're not really learning what that point is that you're having difficulty on. You're just trying to figure out how to just scrape by in most cases, like, especially with older, more difficult games. So by not being able to practice it, you just kind of never really learn it. And then whether or not you consider that to be good, it's up to you. But to me, it's just kind of like having a checkpoint right before the difficult thing, or having a save state right before it, helps me learn it. So I'll just, like, continue replaying and replaying it until I get better at it. So no, there is no, I guess that's a different story for a different episode, but, like, I don't really have a personal vendetta against people who want to use save states or rewind features or game guides. Like, I've done all of those. In fact, I love rewind features because they're really funny to me sometimes.
Yeah, I really think it depends on the game. It's like, it depends on, like, what you want your experience to be like for that game.
Definitely.
If you want to spend this particular game going around exploring and not looking at any guides, do that. Like.
Yeah.
And save states are just one other option.
Yep, I totally agree.
I like with save states that you can just kind of experiment too. Like I do like weird dumb things, like, I wonder what happens if I play this way, because I can just rewind and try again.
Yep.
Well, especially if you have games with, like, alternate paths, it's nice to have, like, a way to go back, to just do the other path. Whether it's like, I didn't take my finger off the page, or you just, like, want to go and explore what that option looks like. But yeah. What are guides and
save
states?
Or if you're, like, looking for glitches or something.
Fun. Josh, what is your number 3?
Yeah, so I really had a hard time picking which one was going to be my number 3 here. They're two very wildly different games, but I'm going to say both of them anyway. Uncharted 4, I played this year for the first time. Very, very excellent game. There's not really a whole lot I can say about it other than that it was just really fantastic. So my actual number 3 would be New Pokemon Snap.
Okay. That was almost going to be my number 3.
Yeah. I mean, it was seriously one of my favorite experiences on the Switch last year, and
I'm glad you picked it.
They did some really wonderful. They made some wonderful changes. I'm a little disappointed there was no, like, evolutions. Pokemon didn't evolve like they did in the original. Like, you can have, get, like, a Pokemon into a whirlpool or whatever, and it would evolve. There wasn't a lot of that, but they made up for it in the fact that, like, every single Pokemon had, like, all these hidden events that you could trigger, way more than the original, so much more to it. And I preferred the scoring system too. I felt like it was more interesting, and completing the game just felt like way more fun than the original. And the original was fantastic. Like, it was such a nostalgic experience too, because it didn't deviate very far from the original formula, but it improved on every little thing about the original, and then, of course, added on some excellent excellent new features, and like I said, a better scoring system. So that's my number 3. I'm very happy about it. I hope it gets DLC. That would be pretty sick.
I'm very excited that you said this one. I really like that game too. The original was one of my favorite games. I probably know better than most games just because you can play it in one go. It's
Yeah.
very, yeah. If you know it, it's very easy to get through. I agree with everything that you said. The evolutions, I do wish that they had included some stuff like that to interact with, but you're right. There was a lot of interesting stuff to make up for that. And I think that the courses and areas that they used this time around were very inspired. I really liked the snowy mountain. There were some ones that were kind of callbacks to the original, like the whole cave one. Lot more legendaries and stuff that you could find. I liked it too. A lot.
That's awesome. No, I'm glad that I brought that up because I'm very happy with the direction they took with it. So
I did get a free update
Yeah,
with more
I was gonna
courses.
say, I think it did. Yeah.
it did get a free update. What was the update?
No one knows.
I thought it added a couple more Pokemon to routes.
I think it added a new area too.
2 more courses.
Okay.
Oh, it did. Oh my god, you just blew my mind. I don't think I've played it.
There's 2 new courses.
Did I
And
not
a new
play the
mechanic.
update? Maybe I
Well,
did.
now you have more content to go to.
Oh, no. I can't even remember if I played the update. I didn't remember that was a thing. It was a great game. Like, I loved it. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I loved it.
No, but I see what you mean. How that is a game that they could continue to support if they do want to add even more paid content. That's a very easy thing that they could do to add more paid courses, to add a whole new Pokemon pack when there's a new generation kind of thing. I think that there's a lot of potential for them to keep maintaining that game. That could be like an evergreen type title for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, patch notes, various fixes.
Nintendo's really great with those patch notes.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Oh,
John, how about you? What's your number 3?
right.
I just noticed Kermit sitting in the background.
I didn't. Is that even in? Okay, it is in frame on.
I think just barely for the stream. But
Yeah, you
I
can see a hint of green just above my head here, roughly, just above the arcade machine. That is, I can never remember his name, but it's the evil Kermit from one of the Muppet movies.
Okay.
Like Clementine or whatever his name.
Kremit.
Kremit.
Take that.
I think it starts with a C, I'm pretty sure. Either way, so because of the podcast, the way it works, we have 2 Game of the Year lists, essentially. One is games that came out last year, and one is games that did not come out last year that we played. So I'm going to give you one of each, if you don't mind, so I get to cheat.
That's what I did anyway.
All right. Fair enough.
You guys
my
have
number
lists?
3... Yeah, I got a whole document. I can just send it to you. My number 3 for last year was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ooh, nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised at the reception of that game. Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Avengers was received really badly. Like the Avengers game that came out, it was just, whoo. Okay, they went a little too far on that one. So everyone was like really cautious about Guardians. But it was the Deus Ex team that was working on it, so it was already like a pretty good pedigree versus Crystal Dynamics doing the Avengers one. It was guaranteed to be a single-player game, and it has those characters down extremely well and is really well written. Plus, there's a bunch of branching paths you can do, so like some of your chapters will be completely different than someone else's chapters. Like, wow. I showed off one chapter on stream that I had played differently than I did when I was playing by myself, and for me, it was a run and gun. But for the stream, it was a stealth mission. So it was like so vastly different that I just thought it was really cool and really well done. Like the story changed accordingly to the decisions I made. Like it was just a generally cool time. A little janky at times, which is a bummer because like some things just didn't work right. Like controls are a little loose, some glitches, and the soundtrack is predominantly licensed music. Mm-hmm. So when you turn on streamer mode, there's a lot of really quiet scenes suddenly. Which was a bummer. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's just a fun time of a game.
Was the music that they made specifically for the game considered licensed too?
No. Anytime that was supposed to come up, the Star-Lord band, like that played.
Yeah. Okay.
But when I played it on stream with
intentionally.
Yeah, I played it on stream with streamer mode. And you know how like, okay, we do a huddle, and then at the huddle, like he pulls out his Walkman, presses a button, he's like, all right, let's do it. And a song is supposed to start. so many times nothing happens, so it's just everyone screaming and shooting bullets, and there's no music at all. It's just so awkward.
See, I can't tell if that's like better or worse because I swear,
It's a
without
meme template.
without giving too much away,
It's pretty memey, yeah.
without giving any spoilers, like my review is essentially like, it is so great when you're at a final boss situation and you're just listening to oh god, what was the song? It was
Wake Me Up by Wham.
No, it was Don't Worry, Be
Rickroll?
Happy.
Oh no, that's a good one too.
Yeah. And so it's like
Yeah,
this climactic moment and you're just listening do, 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 do. So this is peak Guardians. I was actually considering whether or not I should do like a honorable mentions moment before we get to number 1, and that absolutely would have been mine.
Those two.
That absolutely would have been mine. Because I did not beat it in 2021. I actually beat it like last week, actually.
Okay.
So it was just one of those things where it's like, I agree totally with you on almost everything you said. It nails the core, I guess, aspects of Guardians. I almost liked it better than the MCU version. And just kind of, there are certain things where, like, if you look at it from an outsider's perspective, I almost thought that they were trying to advertise it as an RPG. And in my opinion, it's not.
No, it definitely is not.
But I still really enjoyed it, and definitely enjoyed it in spite of the jankier moment. It is janky. Like, I know how you were having problems with Spider-Man, John, but Guardians is janky. Like, there's some problems sometimes.
Like, I never fell through the floor like I did in Spider-Man, but no, it
Is
controls
it funny
very
janky, or is it like game ruiningly janky in some parts?
Well, back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, there was never really anything for me where I was just like, oh, like, this is annoying. It was just something where it's kind of like, you'll land on a platform and then he'll pretend as if he didn't and then get back up. It's just like weird stuff that just kind of happens. It was like, it's definitely one of those things where it just needed a little, tweaking.
A little more polish.
Yeah, a little bit more polish.
Like, there's a bunch of points where just suddenly, like, you'll, like you said, like, animations will play in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
For example. And there's a lot of dialogue. They recorded a disgustingly huge amount of dialogue to the point where, like, there's just so much. Like, they don't shut up. They do not shut up.
The interlude moments, there's just kind of times where it's like, can I go now? No? Okay. Like, if you if you don't move forward in like 2 seconds, they'll just continue on with a completely different conversation.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's cool if you like the lore of the characters and stuff like that, but like they will literally interrupt each other's like story beats to jump to different story beats. Jeez. It's insane. I did a 2-hour stream for a promo stream for the game, and like I specifically didn't take any coke. I was like, no one's gonna get a word in edgewise. The game's gonna do the most of the talking.
No, yeah. it talks a lot, and they do have like exposition moments. So anytime you have to like shimmy along a ledge, just expect them to like move the story forward for a couple minutes while you do that. And I was like, I guess that's smart. No, I would not say Kojima level of dialogue, and the only reason why I'm saying that, I just saw that in chat, is because you
can move while they're talking.
Well, there's that. I just watched Secret Agent Jacob finish Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, and I show up at the beginning of the final cutscene, and I forgot.
Oh, you mean like the ending is like a half hour long? Yeah,
no, it's
just
not
insane.
Half hour. It's like 70 minutes. It is so long.
Jeez.
And most of the time, it's just like, it's almost comedic. Like how I can't get into it. I mean, the game's over 10 years old.
My favorite thing about Metal Gear Solid 4 is the fact that I think the actual, like, there's like a trophy for beating the game under 4 hours, and it turns out if you skip all the cutscenes in this 2 Blu-ray disc game, you can easily do it under 4 hours.
Yeah.
But if you put them all in, it's like 20 or something insane. Like, it's way longer.
I remember people mapping out. There is one mission that always has to be 40 minutes because it's technically timed, but everything else can be speed ran through. So you have to like frame it around that one mission in the middle. No, there's just a point where You know how Fox Die works in the previous games, and basically everyone shits their pants and they die in like 2 seconds. The one person where that doesn't happen, he takes like 15 minutes to die. It's just, oh my god.
Let's see. The documentary disc for Metal Gear Solid 4 says there's over 8 hours of cutscenes in the game.
And the ending is like 1.5
Yeah,
of those
that's
hours.
The entire ending sequence is it says is 71 minutes.
Yeah.
And the longest cutscene without a pause is 27.
It's probably one of the in-betweeners. Yeah, so no, not Kojima levels of dialogue. I'll at least say that. It's not like trying to be highbrow, but just sputtering a bunch of words without hoping you'll look them up in a dictionary. But yeah, I totally agree with everything you said, John. That was a big surprise game for me in 2021. I just wish I could have beaten it, but
Yeah.
next year I'll bring it up again.
Nice. So yeah, Guardians was my number 3 from last year, and my number 3 from games that came out any year prior, Fortnite.
That's right.
Yeah, so I played Fortnite for the very first time on Christmas Day because I went to go visit my family, and my nephews, who are 8 years old, were just like, Uncle Jonathan, you want to play Fortnite with us? And like, are you any good at Fortnite? I'm like, probably. Sure, let's try it. And then ended up really enjoying it. I see why people like that game as much as they did. It was actually a ton of fun. And now like the boys call me up on like Facebook Kids, and they're just like, hey, Uncle Jonathan, let's play Fortnite. So now I just play Fortnite with them every now and then.
That's awesome.
That's pretty nice.
I like that.
Yeah, you're the second person in like the last couple of weeks to say that they tried Fortnite for the first time recently and like really enjoyed it. So
yeah,
maybe
a Christmas
I'll
miracle.
try Fortnite at some point.
I mean, it helps that they put in like crazy things like, oh, you can use Spider-Man's web shooter, so you can just swing around the stage. But I'm also Chris Redfield from Resident Evil, so I look like I'm about to punch a boulder at the same time.
They did make sure to bring in that one. I don't know. I still just like the idea of. I don't know if they knew how effective having the dances were gonna be with all these like licensed characters, but just having like Ryu do like the fucking parachute kid dance is
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. But yes, it's a very very lovely story and a Christmas miracle.
Christmas miracle.
It's a
The
Christmas
boy
miracle.
who didn't hate Fortnite.
Yeah,
Everyone's favorite story.
Mm-hmm.
my nephews are just finally starting to get old enough to start playing games. The oldest one is he just turned 4, and he's like, he doesn't quite get it yet. He doesn't quite understand it, but he's there. He's moving. He's playing a lot of Smash Bros. He goes to one stage in particular every time. It's that one, the WarioWare one with the mom that comes in and like scares
Oh,
you.
gamer, yeah.
He loves that one, and so he plays that one over and over again against the AI. And he always has to pick the same character for, but like he's fighting. Like he has to have his enemy always has to be like Link if he's playing as Link, and so on.
Oh, okay.
My nephews are very much in like we've got like 1 or 2 games we like, and then we just like what's popular on YouTube. So like they're playing Pokemon, but then they're also like, yeah, our favorite games are like Minecraft, Roblox, Among Us, and Fortnite. I'm like, you're
That's
8.
what all the kids play. I work in an elementary school. That's all they play.
Sounds right.
Insane. Like I went to my sister's place before my parents went home, and the boys were like, they pulled out their iPads. They kept calling up their friends from school and getting in parties on Fortnite. I'm like, what the fuck?
Welcome to the future, John.
Yeah.
They probably love so much that you played Fortnite with them. I think they're gonna remember that's going to be a special memory for them as well.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, they try to call me up. They ended up calling my wife a bunch on Facebook Kids because they couldn't get through to me, but she was like using her phone for something else, so she couldn't answer. It was just like Andy Reese, can you get Uncle Jonathan so we can play Fortnite? Can you get in a party?
Kids these days always wanting to play Fortnite with their uncles. As for me, my number 3, so like now that you've mentioned it, if I had that kind of backlog, or I have that kind of backlog, if I'd actually played enough games, I probably could do like a 3 2021 and a 3 whenever. But my number 3 for this, whatever it is that I'm doing, Mario Party Superstars.
There you go.
was
Good
my number
choice.
3.
There you go.
And it was mostly because, like, with Mario, I do enjoy Mario Party games. I didn't really enjoy Super Mario Party. That one faded for me real fast. And honestly, I think, like, the last time I really enjoyed Mario Party in general was 3. But not because I didn't like them. It's just because and I'm about to sound very sad by saying this, but, like, I just didn't really have anyone to play them with. So I just, like, skipped a whole bunch of Mario Party games. And then more recently with Superstars, I started, well, and like a couple other things that happened, like finally playing Overcooked and stuff. I started getting more interested in like playing multiplayer games again. So Mario Party Superstars is kind of when I got back into streaming games on Twitch as well. So like being able to play with you, Josh, and some other people online as well, like Jiggy, has been really fun. And it's just kind of this particular Mario Party, even though it's literally just let's take stuff from previous ones, is just still really enjoyable. And so it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm kind of getting back into multiplayer gaming. You know, I tried doing it with Pokemon Unite. That is also a game that occurred.
I played that for like the weekend it came out.
I played it on like
it.
one stream, and then I got scared. So
It was fun.
It was fun. Yeah, it's a game that occurred. But yeah, Mario Party Superstars was a lot of fun for me just because it was a way for me to connect with people, especially because of everything. And now we're like going back inside a lot more. So it is something that I would like to try to do more this year too. So it's good. I had a good time.
This was my first Mario Party game since, was it 4 on the GameCube? Like you, I didn't have a lot of people to play it with growing up, so I just never got Mario Party, and I really have been enjoying Superstars so much.
Yeah, it's incredible. They took the if it ain't broke, don't fix it approach to bring in the old school stuff, because if there was anything that needed adjusting, there's a few little like adjustments to make the experience a little bit smoother, but overall they kept a lot of the same stuff from the originals, and it not only feels really nostalgic, it also feels really tight. I like all the controls and everything, and it's just very smooth. So well done, Nintendo.
Yeah, I think definitely the inclusion of online multiplayer is probably the main reason why it's on my list at all. I feel like if it didn't have it, I'd probably still buy it, and I would probably still enjoy it on the couch with like with DM or any of the friends that we'd have over. But I think just the ability to play online gives me the option to play with you guys, because the joke was that we're all in the same room, but little television magic for y'all, we're not. Yeah, I can't do this and then suddenly it's like, no, we can't. I mean, we could. I just have to tell Rebecca to buy her own damn thermos.
Totally the same color, right?
Yeah,
totally
no, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Change it in post. Change it in post.
I could. A little bit more movie magic.
Need some CGI? You got this.
Yeah. Yeah, I need like $600,000 so that I can CGI a thermos into her hand for 2 seconds. Rebecca, what is your number 2?
My number 2, man, I wish I had known we were cheating. I would have come up with 2 separate 3s. But regardless, my number 2 is Metroid Dread.
Oh wow!
I really loved this game.
Spoiler alert: that's my number 1. So we'll talk.
I'm sorry.
No,
if we're just doing that, then yeah, it's also my number 1. But,
well,
also,
great. I just ruined
it. That makes sense.
Rebecca, you should just make it your number 1. There you go. Then we can all have the same one. Swap them around. No,
this is a really fun game. I am a relatively new Metroid fan. The first game that I played was Super Metroid a couple years ago, and then I started catching up. I played Zero Mission. I played a little bit of Samus Returns. I don't have a whole lot of experience with Metroid in general. I definitely know at this point that I'm a 2D Metroid fan. I did like Prime, but I definitely think I prefer the 2D games. Metroid Dread, I think, was everything that I would have wanted in a 2D Metroid game. It felt the gameplay just felt really tight, very clean. I liked all of that. Visually spectacular. I love the that pull.
Nice pull. Nice pull.
Oh, Metroid Dread. Something that I love about Metroid in general that I thought Dread did really well is how they tell the story implicitly through the environment a lot of the times, with like what's going on in the background, a lot of Samus's body language and things like that. There's a whole lot of storytelling going on without the cutscenes, and the few cutscenes that were in the game I thought were so powerful. I get frustrated a lot in games where I am getting lost a lot, where I'm dying a lot, but I never felt that way in Metroid Dread, because every time I felt like I was so lost to the point where I was going to look it up or give up, I kind of found myself in the right place. Like, you feel like you're getting lost, but the way that the gameplay and levels are designed is to get you there anyway. So it made me feel stupid a lot, but then it kind of worked itself out. I also, in a lot of games, especially in older Metroid games like Super Metroid, I get so frustrated because I'm not good at games. When I die to a boss and then I have to go all the way back through a whole long level again to try it again, only to die again, to try several times. That was not the case in this game. I thought that the checkpointing was awesome, and I felt myself getting better and better with each boss attempt. I could feel myself, especially the end. Like, it took me so long to get through that final boss, but I felt myself improving. The way that the game teaches you, I think it's just a stellar game. Really, really, really well designed, and I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Same. No, it's exactly what Metroid needed to. It was on the verge there of not, having another title really happen again, and then Dread had to come out and be good for that to continue going. So I'm excited that it was very, very, very good. The best Metroid experience that I've had, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting because you have a game franchise that kind of sets a trend for and essentially creates like a subgenre of video game and then disappears for like 20 years. And you have all these other games like Axiom Verge and Hollow Knight and things coming in, even like Guacamelee coming in and just doing all these like 2D Metroidvania style games. And then you have so Metroid Dread almost has to come back and kind of see like, this is how it's done, like from the originator coming back in, and can it come back after all these other games have kind of shown what else 2D Metroidvanias could do and compete in that arena.
Yeah.
Well, that's the crazy thing. Like, the director of Metroid was like, yeah, the only reason we got a chance to bring back 2D Metroid at all was because all these other indie 2D Metroids were doing so well.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Well, and the fact that the game's even developed by a company that made other 2D Metroidvanias, but at least one 3D Metroidvania.
Yeah, they did. Was it Castlevania Portrait of Ruin? Mm-hmm. No, Castlevania something. Lords of Shadow, something. But that one was kind of.
It was Portrait of Ruin. Yeah.
So there was not much confidence on the one that Mercury Steam had done prior. So the fact that Samus Returns and Dread came out as well as they did was surprising, honestly.
Yeah. God, Samus Returns. If it wasn't for the fact that my hands cramp up when I play my 3DS now, I would have beaten that game.
I think the real thing is I think it's just that Samus Returns, like that game, like the original and the remake, just kind of sucks. So it's just not a fun Metroid game, but the other ones are better done. Yeah. I find it funny. I loved Dread. I played through it, but I specifically said at the end of the game, I'm like, yeah, I liked it. I don't think I Game of the Year liked it, but I liked it. And then when I had to put together my Game of the Year list, I'm like, oh shit, nothing else really did better than that, did it? Fuck.
Yeah.
Nothing really jumped out. I mean, that's why it's up there for me, number one, because it's just like it was like the only thing. I felt like it was the only like big game that I was excited for the whole year, really.
I found it funny this year.
June.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. It was an E3 surprise release. And then it's like 3 months later, it's out.
For years and years, yeah.
And then they actually advertised it, unlike any other Metroid game, so people actually bought it.
They advertised the crap out of it.
They sure fucking did.
What Metroid deserves. I was so happy to see it.
I know, me too.
I can't even remember.
Oh, go ahead. I have the laugh because so many good Metroidvanias came out this year. I think on my actual like top 10 and like all games I played, I think I have like 7 different like top tier Metroidvanias on that list. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was just a really good year if you like that genre of game at all.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, most years have had at least one pretty positive Metroidvania.
Yeah.
At least in the last 10 years. I think, especially like with the indie scene coming into prominence, it allowed developers to create bigger and more expansive games, and that's kind of the one genre that people really wanted to make. And maybe all I'm saying is like maybe you could find an indie development studio that really likes F-Zero, and then they could just make a bunch of F-Zero type looking games, and maybe that'll
make this really popular.
and maybe in another 20 years we'll finally get another F-Zero, another Metroid.
Another Metroid.
We heard you.
Better not be
Don't
20 more
curse
years.
we really listened to y'all with all those F-Zero games. You wanted Samus again, didn't you?
Just make a Metroid kart racer. There you go.
Hey, what
No
is
more Mario
F-Zero?
Kart. It's Metroid Kart now.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the surprise of Mario Kart 9. Everyone thinks it is. It's actually just a Metroid Kart game.
Yep.
Just kidding. It's actually F-Zero. Haha. You really got us, Miyamoto. Where was I? So
Josh is
number two.
Oh, my number 2. Yeah. So my number 2 is actually Mario Party Superstars. So,
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it, man. I'm so ready to hopefully we get DLC for it. That's like the big hope right now, because I just think it needs 1 or 2 more boards. Like just like 1 or 2 more. That's it.
Yeah.
It also, I feel like the character selection is very limited in this one compared to the other ones. I mean, maybe not the old ones, but like the last few we've gotten had a pretty big roster of characters. The problem with Super Mario Party was that the characters were kind of imbalanced with their special dice blocks, and them scrapping that whole thing for this game made way more sense. So, but I still feel like we could have a bigger selection of characters, honestly. So, and the fact that the game was made with online in mind, too, because like Super Mario Party did get online, but it wasn't until like a month or 2 before the new one came out. So it was kind of too late at that point.
It was a test.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you know what? At least they got the kinks out of the way to make the new one really, really good. Because I think that the way they handle like disconnects and that kind of thing is very clever, and I think it works well enough. And I don't find myself getting disconnected very often, but when you do, it's not like super devastating.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you don't like point it out, you probably could go the entire game without truly noticing it for a while. Because there was one time I think somebody disconnected from a game that I was playing. I hadn't. Until they told me, I was like, wait, what? Yeah, and then, John, what is your number 2?
All right, my number 2's for a game that came out last year. This was a surprise one for me. I actually played this a week before the end of the actual podcast we did, which was like 2 weeks ago. Astalon. Where's the full title? Because I keep forgetting the full title. Astalon: Tears of the Earth. This is a 2D Metroidvania published by Danjin Entertainment and done by Labs. That is very NES 8-bit themed, but it actually does a bunch of things really cool. You have a party of 3 characters. One's a fighter, one's a rogue, and one's a wizard. And you wander around this tower, and each character has their own special abilities. Like the fighter is a close range fighter, but he has better armor, and he gets a dashing move, so he can like get into enemies fast and get away. The mage is medium range, so he's got a little bit of range on his shots, but he also can like hover in certain places and like shoot through walls. And then the actual rogue can jump off of walls to climb them, and she has a bow which goes the full length of the screen and stuff like that, and then everyone gets more abilities that amplify off of that. It's just an interesting game that like tells its story really well, because originally like they come in saying like, okay, like the river, the water source for our village is dying. It's been full of poison from this tower, so we need to go in and figure out what's going on. And then you go in and you find this black knight who kills you all. So the game starts with all your characters getting killed off, and then you find out one of the characters sold his soul to escape a different scenario, and as a result, like when the tower is done and like the whole issue with the poison solved, his soul gets claimed. But until then, this demon is protecting your entire party. So every time you die, any currency you pick up in the game gives you upgrades to kind of build up your characters. But the only character who knows this is even happening is the wizard. All the others are just like, man, I got like a weird feeling of deja vu. Like, I feel like we've been here before. So it's like this whole story of the others figuring out what's going on, trying to figure out a way to make sure this doesn't actually happen. And like the wizard gets to live if he can. And it's just like a really well done Metroidvania that balances out using all of these other characters you get as well. Like every character has a use. You won't just be using one character all the time. The only reason I didn't give it number 1 over Dread was because I think Dread's feeling of exploring is just that good. And I had a bunch of weird glitches when I was playing the game on the Switch. Like I was falling through ladders and there's like some nasty slowdown at times. And it has photosensitive warnings, like it flashes a bunch and you can't turn that off. You can only lower it. But it is still an excellent Metroidvania. I highly recommend.
What's the name of the game again?
Astalon, Astalon, Tears of the Earth. If you care about physical games, I think Limited Run just announced a physical run of the game
this morning.
Otherwise, yeah, it's on Switch and Steam.
Love it. That's awesome. Always good to hear about another Metroidvania.
Yeah, dude, like I said, my list has so many Metroidvanias on it. Like Unsighted's another fantastic one that I wish I had played more. Like it made my number 5 on my top 10, but if I had played more of it, it might have gone higher. Like that's a Metroidvania with a time limit like Dead Rising. So you have to keep other players alive or other characters alive while you're going around and doing stuff. It's just really well done. Axiom Verge 2 was this year, which Axiom Verge 1 is phenomenal, but I didn't like 2 as much, but it's still a good game. What else do we even have on here that was from this year and was also a Metroidvania? Like, Blaster Master 03 was this past year. Like, there's a lot of good Metroidvanias.
Holy.
Nice.
I didn't play a single Metroidvania this year, but I'm clearly I missed out.
Yeah, a bunch of good stuff. My 20XX game of the year, number 2, was Misadventures of Tronbon. This is a spin-off of Mega Man Legends that takes place before the first game, where you play as Tronbon and all of the Servbots. And you have to raise a bunch of money to save your brothers from being imprisoned. So it's just like a mini game collection, but also it's just like fun, good gameplay, pretty fun writing, and just all the characters are just entertaining. Like we did this for game clearing last year. We had a blast.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get like more into that one. That was one of those like PS1 games that I managed to grab before they got too ridiculously overpriced.
Yeah.
And if you have a PlayStation, I think you can still.
It should be available on PS3 still. It should be on PS3 still.
Before that, get it now before it closes down again.
Because didn't they say they're taking away using PayPal soon or something? Or is that that's Nintendo doing that? That's Nintendo doing that.
Nintend's getting rid of credit cards for 3DS
and Wii U.
Really?
So if you're almost
3DS and Wii U, yeah.
Oh, and Wii U. So if you're almost up on your Pokemon Bank, buy a gift card. or pay for it now. So
the end of an era.
Well, you can still buy games. You just have to get an eShop card instead of.
For how long?
Well, maybe one more year. Just
more years, yeah.
Yeah. So if there's anything else you still want on the virtual console, you better get it now.
Yeah.
Panic shopping.
Your warning shot.
Yeah. Let's see. My number 2 is Legend of Mana. And
nice.
This one works for 2021 as well as not 2021 because we got a remake last year.
Oh, yeah.
And the remake's really good. It does a couple of quality of life improvements, but overall it's a game that it's kind of like Wind Waker, where I don't think a lot of people were interested in the design of the game when it came out, because this is like a very 2D watercolor pretty looking game, whereas a lot of people wanted like their 3D games. But it looks amazing, and the HD remake does it a lot of justice, over 20 years later. So what I think I really like the most about Legend is I didn't play it for years because I was kind of afraid of how the game works in general. It is very open-ended, so that you get like a completely blank slate world map, and the world map is just a grid. And what you'll do is that you'll get an artifact, and the artifact can be placed anywhere on the map. And when placed on that map, it creates an area, either a town, a dungeon, or something like that. And it is kind of like a day and night. It doesn't really have a day and night system, but it has a day of the week system. And that day of the week might make certain elements of the world more strong or more weak. So fire, water, light, dark, that kind of thing, depending on the day. But then how the locations are placed next to each other changes a lot of stuff. It changes the mana. So mana has different types of elements, as I said before, but it can change based on what's next to another place. So each artifact has its own mana elements affixed to it. So it might be like really strong in fire, but have nothing in water. But then you place it next to a location that is very strong in water. It affects both areas as they're connected together, which sounds really complicated, which is why I was afraid of the game for a long time. Because if you want to get 100%, you can do that in one run. But the choices that you make, especially where you place things next to each other, can cause you to get events or can keep events from happening. And so it's kind of one of those things where every playthrough can be different, but you can also look up a guide to optimize it, which is what I did, because I only wanted to play through it once. And it took me a while to get through. I think there's like 60 events in the game, and each can either be like a couple minutes to maybe an hour. But it felt like a very slice of life episodic anime in that regard. So I really enjoyed it as kind of a palate cleanser to a lot of other things that I was playing, because it has its moments of drama, but it's also very lighthearted. And the ending is interesting. Obviously, I'm not going to talk about it, but it essentially, like, it's a game that works by wanting to replay it multiple times in order to get different events and have a different experience every time you play.
That's cool. I like that.
I like that, yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it. There are a lot of other things about it that are very convoluted and difficult to learn and understand. And sometimes you can just ignore those things and have a great time without ever doing them. But overall, I think I was glad that I decided to, like, not be afraid of it and actually try to finish it. And I was really not surprised, but I was very happy with the experience that I had. And overall, I just thought it was a really great game that I'm kind of sad that I overlooked for over 20 years. But it's a great game on the PlayStation, and it's a great game on the Switch and PS4. I think it's on Xbox, probably. I don't know if it's on Game Pass, but who knows? I haven't checked. I know it's definitely on PlayStation and Switch, so it's on those two platforms.
That's awesome. Love to hear it.
Do we want to do like an honorable mention section, or do we want to move on to our number ones?
I got a couple I can go through. I don't know if everyone else does.
I got
I got video
like
games.
I'll say honorable mentions before my number one, because we already know what Josh is
That's
on
true.
for
That's
one.
true.
Yeah.
Well, Rebecca, why don't you go first?
Okay, for honorable mentions?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do mine is a mix of great games that didn't come out in 2021 and 2021. So the ones that I played that came out before that I thought were standouts that, you know, were very memorable for me. I played Until Dawn for the first time. I really
Oh,
love
wow.
the choices matter types of games, and
That's
not
a good game.
not really
played
my
it, but I
type
know
of. Yeah, not really my type of, like, I don't normally do like the horror or anything like with gore too much, but I really like this because I really like how strong the characters were. Just the different choices that you could make. I love that kind of thing. So that was a really fun game for me. What else did I play that didn't? I played, you mentioned Blaster Master 3. I played Blaster Master 0, the remake, the first one, for the first time.
The first one's
really liked that
great.
game.
Yeah, first one's
so
great.
much fun. So much fun. I love it. It was so full of charm. I really liked the exploration. I really loved all the power-ups of that. That was just really enjoyable for me to play. And I played all of the WarioWare games that I hadn't played because I wanted to try to play every single WarioWare game before Get It Together came out. So I played DIY for the first time. I played Twisted. I played Touched. I played the very first one. I don't know. I'm a big WarioWare fan. I really love those games.
They're great games.
So that was just kind of fun to go through. I'm trying to think what else, if there's anything I missed there. Then what came out this year that I really liked that didn't make my number one. Skyward Sword HD. I really loved the original, but there were a lot of things that I didn't like about it, and the HD version fixed all of those things. So I feel like I was able to enjoy it in a new way when it came out. And you mentioned new Pokemon Snap, and I also want to give a shout out to the Animal Crossing Happy Home Paradise DLC. I got sucked way back into Animal Crossing because of that DLC and just poured a bunch more hours into it. And Let's Build a Zoo, a little fun indie game. That is, if you like Zoo Tycoon or any of those, it's really, really good. This is for my honorable mentions.
I just see somebody in the chat. You didn't have to play all the games, and I'm like, you didn't have to.
All of the games.
No, too late.
There was
Must
somebody
do.
on Twitter who was making
I wish you had
fun
said
of
that
me
before.
That was like, there's not a story that you have to catch up on WarioWare, right? They were like so offended that I was playing a bunch of WarioWare games.
Honestly, I think that was a good idea. I think that was a really good idea because Get It Together plays so differently compared to the others. I think it's good to have that like example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're fun. They take like 2 hours at most to beat. Like you can beat them all in an afternoon if you want to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
John, I'm gonna skip you. I gotta keep everyone on your toes. I'll come back to you,
What?
Josh. John, what about you?
Oh, now I have to pay attention. I was so trained to just going in order.
Got him.
All right, honorable mentions: the games that came out last year. Axiom Verge 2. Like I said before, I love the first one. I think it was my game of the year it came out. But the second one went in a different direction to a point, and I wasn't feeling it. The first one's all focused around gunplay when you're doing your exploring and stuff like that. The second one was more focused on melee and a couple of aspects, and I just wasn't into it as much. But it's still a good game. It still does great exploring. If you like that feeling of playing a game about an alien world, it gets that down pat. Earth Defense Force World Brothers. I love the Earth Defense Force games. That is a guilty pleasure series all about just blowing up stuff. It's just fantastic. But then they made like a more child-friendly version where it's like everyone's a voxel character.
Okay.
And like the bugs aren't as freaky looking because they're voxels as well. And all the characters are just different versions of characters from previous games or like weird stereotypes like the Holland soldier is literally like a Holland dancer with like clogs on. And she summons windmills that shoot out heat-seeking tornadoes. The London soldier is like an actual like royal guard that just summons more royal guards and makes walls. Like it's super cheesy, but it's super fun. You get to pick 4 characters in your party. You can swap between them at any time. So you can bring like a heavy hitter, you can bring a flyer, you can just bring like something silly. Like it's just a goofy, fun game, and it has like online multiplayer too. It's just really fun.
Just reminds me of G Gundam.
Yeah. If you remember the stereotypes of G Gundam, they're probably the ones in EDF. Unmetal. This was a comedy Metal Gear parody game that came out a couple months ago. It basically, if you know the Hot Shots movie starring Charlie Sheen, like Hot Shots Part 2, it's basically that, but turned into a video game that plays like classic Metal Gear, top-down stealth. It's very silly, very tongue-in-cheek, and it's honestly pretty fun. I just didn't get far enough to be able to put it on my top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Loop Hero, fantastic game there. If you don't know, it's basically like in a way, it's like an auto clicker game. Like it's just a game that kind of runs itself, but you have to pop in, like add new squares onto this map to build the world around you and change what all your automatic actions do. It's just a really interesting game to put on the side when you're doing something else. Deathloop. Deathloop was a cool game. I just didn't get far enough into it. I love the atmosphere of that game. I love the idea of the game. I love time loops. I love just like the 60s retro aesthetic. It's just another game I just didn't get far enough in. And No More Heroes 3. I love No More Heroes. I think it's a fun franchise. Apparently the gameplay in 3 is the best it's ever been, but apparently the story's kind of which was a bummer, and I think that might be why I wasn't too driven to playing it much.
Okay. And
Cool.
Josh, how about you?
Yeah, I only got like a couple here. We already talked about Animal Crossing, the Happy Home Paradise, but that would have been my runner-up. just because like it's not really something you can. Maybe you can finish the DLC to some degree, but yeah, that I mean it brought back the life for the game to me. Obviously, like just like so many other people, like I stopped playing in like August last year, or not last year, 2020, I guess. And so, having the 2.0 update and the the DLC with the cooking and the produce and like all this other stuff, as well as all the stuff they added with Happy Home Paradise, like I'm deep into it. I'm still deep into it because I absolutely adored Happy Home Happy Home Designer on the 3DS.
Yeah.
I just really like. I don't know. I like the little like the dollhouse, like setting up stuff and making it look nice.
It's
I like
therapeutic.
It makes
is.
me feel like I would be a good like interior designer in real life, but that is the furthest thing from
Yeah,
the
I
truth.
know. I couldn't do it in real
But
life.
it
I mean,
makes
look
me-
at this
It makes
place.
me feel like I would be good at it.
If
Honestly,
I had
my
unlimited
Animal Crossing
budget,
builds probably look kind of like this room. Honestly, I'll just have the TV over there on that chair, like.
I just need RGB everywhere. Can you do that for me?
Yes, can be done. My other runner-ups, I mentioned it earlier, but Uncharted 4 I played for the first time this year, and I can't believe it took me so long to play it. Like I played 1, 2, and 3 when it re-released on the PS4.
Mhm.
I actually hadn't played 3, and that was my opportunity. I went and played all 3 of them back to back in like 2016 or so, and then I don't know. I never picked up Uncharted 4. I don't know what it was. It just didn't scream at me until suddenly I was like, man, maybe I'll play Uncharted 4, like just randomly one day, and I ended up binging it in like a day and a half. I felt like it was really good. It was a really well balanced game. The combat sections and the climbing sections didn't feel like I did any one thing for too long. Which some of the other, like the first Uncharted, I felt like some of the combat sections were a little bit much. So it was a good balance. This one was a good balance. So I'm happy about that. And of course, my other runner-up would have been Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, because it's so close. Like it was really, really good, but it played it way too safe. Especially when it came to like the New Game Plus and that kind of thing. It was a little bit too safe, and I was expecting more out of it. Besides the fact that it looks gorgeous.
Yeah. In terms of my own runners up, like Ratchet and Clank was my number 4. Like, so technically the way that I do this is that I make the list in my iPad, but then I'll just like reorder them as I like choose what I consider better than the other. So I'm like constantly refreshing it. I would say, yeah, definitely is like Rift Apart is my big runner up on this list. I really did enjoy Interlude, Final Fantasy VII Interlude. I did not enjoy trying to figure out how to install it, but I did enjoy playing it. Even though it was like a 1 to 2 hour DLC, but it reminds me that like I feel like Square in some cases is really trying to do something different than what they have been over the last 15-ish years with Final Fantasy. I know a lot of people like got on their case with 13 being like the hallway of the game, and technically 10 is also very, I don't think a lot of people realize that, but 10 is also just like a bunch of hallways. And so I think they're trying to get a little bit more complex with their dungeons, adding a little bit more interactive stuff to it. And Interlude was Intergrade. Well, Intergrade is the box, the name on the box, but the actual DLC is called Interlude.
Oh,
yeah,
the DLC.
In order to just make it as confusing as possible. So yeah,
the DLC by itself is Interlude, and the game.
If you buy the PS5 version of the game, it's called Intergrade.
That's deeply confusing.
Imagine trying to install. Yeah, it was.
Welcome to Nomura.
Well, the PS4 to 5 upgrade system has not been the best. In some cases, it can either be fairly simple, or in other cases, it's extremely obtuse. I think with Interlude, what I had to do was I had to put the PS4 disc into the system, and then the store magically read that the disc was inside as the PS4 version was installing on my PS5, which I didn't want. And then I could go into the store, download the PS5 upgrade, and then I was able to get Interlude at a reduced cost.
Wow.
And then I had to remove Interlude, or I had to remove the PS4 version from my PS5 because now I have the PS4 version and the PS5 version on my system at once. Don't blame Square. It's Sony's fucking fault.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to have done the same with Ghost of Tsushima, and then I completely redid my basement and tried to wall mount my TV over the last 2 months, and I just never got to it. So that'll probably be on the list next year, the DLC for the Iki Island expansion there. And then, yeah, I would say Guardians of the Galaxy. I guess I'd gotten far enough in Guardians to put it on my list somewhere. And if I did put it on my list, I'd actually probably bump off Mario Party Superstars. I'd probably make it my number 3. But I didn't finish it, so based on my own rule set, I didn't include it. But I would say I think the only other two, I've been trying to get through the original Final Fantasy II on the NES. And I actually have like a reproduction cartridge of it that I just slap into my NT Mini and have been trying to play over the last several years. And I find it extremely intriguing. A lot of people hate it because of the level up system being non-existent. But I actually find it extremely interesting. So that would probably be on my list of runners up. So those 3 in particular, again, I pretty much agree with everything everyone else has said about those games. Guardians and Ratchet, it kind of has Final Fantasy or Mega Man syndrome, where it's just, you know, if you played previous Ratchet games, you'll figure out Rift Apart.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Returnal. Yeah, absolutely. Returnal is a great game. It is just hard, and I'm a little baby with little baby hands.
I have one more runner-up. That's actually, it's more of like a dishonorable mention.
Nice.
I never played Mass Effect back in the day. And so I was like, I'm going to play Mass Effect now that the Mass Effect Legendary Edition released. And
Oh no.
I played it on the Xbox One and not the Xbox Series X or whatever. And it was, well, it has some performance issues. I was getting like frame stutters every like 2 to 3 seconds. And it was just enough that it was really annoying. And maybe I wouldn't have had that issue if I played it on the Series X or like I don't know if it was on the PS5, but I assume it was. But I played it on the Xbox One, and I did not. I don't understand how it could have been as bad as it was. And I tried to talk to other people who played it on the Xbox One, and maybe it's just me because they said it was fine, but I don't know. I still struggled, and I could not make it through Mass Effect 1. And Mass Effect 1 is rough enough as it is. And they did make some notable changes that made it a little bit better, but it still wasn't. I couldn't make it through. I couldn't do it. And still to this day, I've never played and I need to play Mass Effect 2 at the very least.
Skip 1, just do 2 on a different console, and you'll be fine.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna play Mass Effect 2 and skip 1 altogether.
Read the synopsis.
The universe is screaming at me to stop trying to play Mass Effect 1.
Yeah, everyone warns me, don't play 1, just go straight to 2. It's the same thing as Assassin's Creed. Don't play 1, just go to 2.
I had the same problem with Assassin's Creed. I played 1 and I was just like, I can't do that.
Yeah. That's why I never played Assassin's Creed, because I tried playing 1.
Yeah.
I loved Mass Effect 2.
I've heard nothing but good things about Mass Effect 2. So
it's really good.
I need to revisit it.
Yeah.
Time for my number 1, or?
Yeah, I mean, so it was I think the first year we did this, I actually had like the idea that we would do like top 3 and then bottom 3, like top 3 worst, but that one got difficult.
Man.
So I'm glad you brought up dishonorable mention.
My list has, what did we do? We did most disappointing. So I've got 3 most disappointing notes here.
I'll take your most disappointing and then we'll move on.
All right, I'll just jam through these really fast then, because I'm gonna get some heat for this first one. My number 3 was WarioWare Get It Together.
Oh
no.
I hate how the game controls. I hate the way they did that game.
It's
genuinely.
It's different than what WarioWare is. I can
and
understand why you didn't like it.
This is why I said earlier I was really glad that you had the frame of the other games, because then you understand what I mean when I'm like, it doesn't feel the same. They went for the same energy, but it doesn't feel right to me, and I don't like the way they did it. So genuinely, I beat the game, and I'm like, yeah, I'm probably never touching this again.
I don't think I hated it as much as you did, but I definitely like the traditional ones better.
Yeah.
I haven't played since the first one.
First one's a really good one.
I just I hated things like a bunch of the characters just they're better versions of the other ones, so half the roster's just useless.
Oh,
I take the same characters over and over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
There's just a bunch of decisions I don't like about that game. My number 2 was Balan Wonderworld, which I've already kind of talked about today, so I don't have to go into details. Because that game really should be way better than it is. And my most disappointing thing that happened last year was Mario Brothers 35 shutting down, because that was genuinely really fun.
Why? Bring it back.
It doesn't make any sense. Pac-Man 99's all right, but I don't like it as much as Mario 35. I think they had something genuinely fun and interesting with that, and they just threw it away, and I don't understand why.
That's awful.
Yeah, that was one game that I was considering. I downloaded it, and then I think with like a lot of competitive games, I tend to kind of shy away from those. And so that was one game that I really wanted to play and just never got around to it, because I'm like, it's kind of like 2D Fall Guys when you think
Dude,
about
I'm in
it.
the same boat. I did not get around to playing it, which is too bad, because like I knew it was coming. I knew that the doomsday was coming for it, and I still didn't play it.
I'll get to it. Yeah.
I was almost like less inclined to want to play it because I knew it was going to end, and so I was like, all right, well, at this point, I don't want to get into it.
I just want to miss out.
Don't give it a name, Josh. Don't give it a name.
Aw.
And I'm surprised you didn't include Resident Evil 7 on that list, John.
Oh, because that didn't come out last year.
Oh,
all those things happened last year.
I got you. Yeah, I guess if I had to do a dishonorable mention, it'd probably be Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oh, wow.
And not to say that it was super bad, it was just kind of like, boy, that was 40 hours and nothing.
Yeah, I hate how that game ends in a way. And I haven't even looked at the DLC yet, which adds more to it.
And the DLC is super frustrating because from what my friend has told me, it's just a super hard boss rush mode. He had to replay the game on very easy just so he could get through that part on the DLC. And I was like, and he's pretty good at Kingdom Hearts, so I was like, well, I'll just watch the cutscenes.
Dude, I can't. I love and hate that Kingdom Hearts is like this like insurmountable like series in a way. Like you can understand the series if you like read up on it, but then they'll be like, yeah, make sure you play the rhythm game because the rhythm game at the end has some extra DLC for where the current story is.
I hated the fact that technically the DS game that everyone hates actually has story relevance for like 5 minutes, and then they never talk about it again. And it's like,
oh my god.
Well, it's like the last 5 minutes of the damn game too. It's just like, yeah, this ability he learns in this game, yeah, this is relevant to the entire plot.
I didn't play that one on purpose. Yeah, and then apparently like the one game that everyone hates, I was like, actually, that's like my favorite one. So whatever.
Was that 358 divided by 2?
Yeah, I actually really like 358 over 2. I do. I actually like how the character building and how you level up and stuff like that. How you have to like have a loadout and it's basically Tetris. I actually really enjoyed that.
The only thing I didn't like about that was the fact that I got mad when I realized the name actually made sense. I'm like, you got to be kidding me! Like, I can't believe I
the small stuff.
I'm like, what are these names? Like,
I'm hearing numbers. I didn't know this was math.
Yeah, 358 over 2. If you know the story of that game, actually makes sense as a title, and it pisses me off.
Well, and that's why. So like.
I'm slightly comforted to hear that.
It's one of the games that like people got really antsy over because like you had to say the name correctly, and I was like, "Shut up, you nerd!" And then you play the game, it's like, "All right, you win." Whatever.
Yeah, the only Kingdom Hearts I've ever played is 1 and 2, like back on the PS2. I haven't touched it since.
I am a big fan of ice cream on a stick. Yes.
When 3 was coming out, I hadn't touched any of the games except for the first, and then Reese was a fan of the series. So I'm like, all right, well, let's cram through the entire series.
No.
So I played through 1 and 2, the HD remixes, and we watched a bunch of the other ones just to get caught up. And I'm just like, all right, I understand this story now. It's not as hard to understand as people thought. It's just still a mess.
Yeah, I mean, and the only one I hadn't played besides 3 to get caught up was Dream Drop Distance, and then I played 2.8. I actually enjoyed 2.8, and then I thought Dream Drop Distance was a waste of my time. So that would also be 2 Kingdom Hearts games are my dishonorable mentions of 2021. Bada bing, let's go to number ones. Rebecca, what is your number 1?
I am very disappointed that my number 1 was not in any of your lists or honorable mentions, but it is Life is Strange: True Colors. And I don't know if
never played
any
this
of you guys
series.
Didn't like
Yeah, me
Life is
neither.
Strange.
I-
The first Life is Strange is one of my favorite games of all time, and True Colors was just so special to me. I was so excited for this game. I love the protagonist. I love the power that they gave her in this one. I love the story. I love all the characters, the world that they created here. I know a lot of people were disappointed that Life is Strange still has kind of that problem of, well, you're making choices, but in the end, like, you're kind of ended up with
Two
the
choices.
same types of
Yeah.
scenarios, that kind of thing. But that doesn't really matter to me. To me, it's the journey, not the destination. As corny as that sounds, but it's just so special to me, and I really, really, really love that game.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good pick.
Yeah, I've never played any of the games in the series. One of my friends, he didn't like it as much, so I was like, I guess I'll just start with the first one if I do. But I do remember when True Colors came out, it had a streamer mode. I remember seeing this clip going around. You're smiling because you know exactly what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
The air guitar scene that happens as they're like cleaning a room or something. If you have streamer mode on, there is no music at all.
Well,
The
it's so
characters-
awkward in streamer mode because it's supposed to be this really emotional connection where the two siblings who have been separated for years and years are finally getting back together, and they're having this really emotional moment, and it's fun. And like you said, it's this fun air guitar moment, but you're right, they didn't replace it with any kind of music in the streamer version. Like, they didn't put any kind of royalty-free music or anything.
I mean, that's just technically reality mode, right? You're just like the person on the outside watching these two people just whammy on air guitars, and you're just like,
but they're supposed to have the
are they
radio on,
doing?
like they're listening to the radio.
okay.
So like
Whatever
the
it
characters aren't saying anything, but you can hear them like squeaking their shoes as they dance around. So it's just like it's awkwardly quiet, like squeak, 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 squeak.
I'm
squeak.
watching it right now.
Yeah,
and I know
it's
exactly what you're
incredible.
talking about.
It's
It's just
incredible.
squeak, squeak, squeak. That's the only audio.
Okay, I'll have to
But
watch
if you
that.
didn't play in streamer mode, the soundtrack is fantastic. And I thought the voice acting was really good in this one compared to, I know the voice acting in some of the other games has some corny parts to it, but it was really good in this one. Visually, it was really nice. I had a few glitches here and there that made it really funny. There's a really good one where one of the characters T-poses during one of like a really heartfelt scene.
Good.
But yeah, that game's special to me. Her power has to do with a lot of feelings and like strong empathy, and then eventually that gradually grows into, well, she can feel it so strongly that she knows what they're thinking as that power grows. My profession is I'm a counselor, and so a lot of like reading up on people's body language and trying to get what they feel without the words that they're saying is a big part of my job. So this was like, if I had a superpower, this is what mine would be. So it was special to me in that way too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I did play the original, and I do really like the original. It's one of those things where, I guess if you're a big fan of Euphoria, you might like Life is Strange. It's just that in college. I think that was the one thing that was really, I didn't really understand quite so much. Like, I couldn't tell if the kids were in college or like a very weird high school.
In the first Life is Strange?
First Life is Strange. I'm pretty sure it's
I think
college.
the main character, I think it was the girl was a senior in high school, and then Chloe, I think, was a year older.
Yeah, which I guess in her case it didn't really matter. But yeah, I did enjoy it. Especially it is like it is one of those things where even though you're kind of like the choices may or may not matter in the long run, there are certain things that carry over between episodes. And that was back when it was episodic. But then I played Before the Storm, and I don't care about Chloe, like, at all. And this did
Ooh.
nothing to convince me otherwise.
If you didn't like Chloe, then yeah, you wouldn't like Before the Storm.
But there are definitely some funny moments in Before the Storm. But I think after that, I was like a little life estranged out. I didn't play 2, and then when I saw the trailers for True Colors, I was like, okay, like it's interesting, but and yeah, to me, I didn't. So it's Alex, right, as the main character.
Yes.
So her power in this version of Life is Strange is interesting from the concept of you are playing a game where the whole point of the game, of the genre, is to talk to people and to relate to them and read the room and make choices based on that. And so when the power is as obvious as the actual type of game that it is, I was a little bit turned off by that, but and not to say that like if you enjoyed it, that's what's important. But when I saw the power, it was like,
yeah.
So she's very empathetic, and it was like
They
not
didn't.
As cool
I will
as
admit they
Warping
didn't
Time.
do a good. Yeah, they didn't do a good job of marketing it. I agree that the Changing Time was definitely a lot better of a power, and I would like for them to go back to that someday. But the way that she uses this is, they didn't explain it well in the trailers, and it's something that grows and is more than just seeing what people are feeling.
Okay.
It gets a little bit more complex than that.
Yeah, because I don't know the people who made the original Life is Strange. They made a game called Remember Me, and which is ironic because I don't think anybody remembers that.
Oh,
game.
that was them.
That was them.
Yeah.
And that's why I was interested in Life is Strange, because I liked Remember Me. And the whole point of Remember Me is that you do like these little third-person fighting sequences, but in between those, she has a power which is going into people's brains and rewiring their memory. And the rewiring memory part is basically a big puzzle. And it's a fun, interesting puzzle. And that's kind of what they do in Life is Strange. They make you solve puzzles with their power. But yeah, I was very interested because of Remember Me. So I liked stuff. I liked those concepts where it was like very supernatural or very sci-fi. So that was why I was a little, yeah. But if you're saying that it gets better, then I will take your word
There
for
are
it.
more sci-fi supernatural parts of it
That's
as the game goes on. Yeah.
awesome. Josh, what is your? Well, no, we know what your number one is. Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to gush a little?
My
bit
number
more?
one, yeah, my number one's Metroid Dread, of course, and we talked about it quite a bit before, so I won't go on and on and on. But I mean, I guess the only thing I really have to say about it is that Metroid Prime 4 has a lot to live up to. Like, it's no wonder they restarted development, because they looked at Metroid Dread and they were like, guys, this is incredible. You need to go back to the drawing board and make this one really good. So we'll see what happens with Metroid Prime 4. I hope it's good. But Metroid Dread, number one, absolutely, like above and beyond anything else. Actually, like there isn't anything else on this list. I was really trying to think of everything that came out this past year and the stuff that I really played this year, and nothing stands out like Metroid Dread. So very happy with the way that they did it.
Good.
And then, John, did you say your number one was Dread?
Yeah,
Or
my number one for last year is Dread as well. I liked it a lot, but I also did, when I said I ended the game, I said, yeah, I like this, but I don't think I Game of the Year like it. Like, it's got some issues. Like, I don't like the fact that it is very unforgiving for first timers because the bosses hit so hard. I think if they had tweaked even just that, they would have like made the game a lot more approachable for people. But like, having said that, the final boss fight in that game, fantastic. What a great final boss fight. Like, it's
So
hard
good.
as heck, but it is incredibly fun.
That
Took
entire
me
end
hours.
sequence blew my mind. So I was happy. It was good.
What
It took me
did
a
you
while,
say,
but
Rebecca?
It took me hours to beat the final boss.
Yeah, no, that, like I said, that final boss hits hard. You can have all the items, and it's just like, all right, every hit does like two energy tanks. I have 10. Great, fantastic.
I'll need every one of them.
Yeah, but no, man, that was so fun. Like, the exploring that game is top notch. Metroidvanias have a flow to them, and Dreads is just when you get the controls and you have like the tightness of everything going with, like it just flows incredibly. Like you feel so invested as you're moving around, just sliding through things, countering things.
Yeah.
It's really satisfying. I just hope that the next one they do, I think there's a little bit of room. Combat seems to be the part where they always kind of get in trouble. Specifically Mercury Steam. Like I'm glad that they added in the dash encounter because that was a great addition, a great change from the standstill one. And I like the ideas they had, like the storm missiles and stuff like that. But yeah, there's just a little bit here and there, like soften up the bosses a little bit. Maybe add an easy mode for new players so it's more approachable. And I think like the next one's going to be like even better. But it's funny, we talked about Metroid Dread and then Josh mentioned Metroid Prime 4 because my actual game of the year that didn't come out last year was Metroid Prime 1. So I had actually played through that on stream this year for game clearing.
Metroid Prime 1 is fantastic.
Yeah, but I used to not think so. So when I first tried to play Metroid Prime, I was big into Halo, like really big. So the fact that there was this shooter which had like all this scanning and then just you couldn't use the thumbstick to actually aim really irked me. And I was just like, well, I could put time into this or I could get into Devil May Cry, which is I've never like I like the first game. Well, how's the third one? And then that became one of my favorite games. So I like, yeah, Prime 1 always got thrown to the wayside and I was always like, nah, I don't like the scanning. And then I did it kind of as a joke during game clearing last year of like, yeah, I'm going to scan everything. And then I'm like, oh, actually, no, I actually really like this. Yeah. It's actually kind of fun.
Jokes
Like
on
one of the highlights of the game is scanning stuff.
Yeah, no, I found it more
Always
interesting than I
forgot
expected.
To scan stuff. I played that a lot of. I didn't play all of it, but I played some of it on stream, and we ended up having a command in my Twitch chat for my viewers to remind me to scan things because I would always forget to scan things, and I would be like, "How do you beat this boss?" And they're like, "Rebecca, scan it." So
I was just really glad you didn't have to scan to beat the game. Like that would have been annoying. Like if you to get like the true ending, because I think some of the other ones do. Like I think does Prime 2 do that or Prime 3?
Well, Prime.
I actually haven't played Prime 2 or 3.
I know Prime's ending. The reveal part of the ending isn't that based on scanning?
Prime 1 is based on items.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
I think Prime 2 might be scans. I don't know. I swear one of them is scans, but I might be misremembering.
I think you get don't you get an additional ending or like additional cutscene in 2 for scanning? It's one of those things.
I think that's what it is. That's what it is. But yeah, I played the 1.0 version of Prime 1 though on the GameCube. So a lot of glitches in that I found out, such as one of the bosses falling through the floor and I wasn't able to make progress. And we had a weird glitch in the final boss fight where I couldn't get him to change attack forms because I was standing on his corpse.
Oh,
I guess corpse because it's the Prime Metroid. But
yeah.
But yeah, no, fun otherwise.
I didn't play that. I didn't even play Metroid Prime until it came out on the Wii. So my entire experience with that first game is the motion control of it. I don't think I could go back to the GameCube and do that, to be honest with you.
Everyone tells me apparently that's the better control scheme with the Wiimote, but I'm like, I don't know. It might not just be for me. That's it.
Well, and I think they upgraded some movement with the morph ball in the Wii version.
Well, I think in the original you had to still use bombs to jump, but they added the bomb jump. Maybe is that a thing, or is that also a thing in the original?
Well,
I think you eventually found like the spring ball. I'm pretty sure. I'm a little rusty.
We have Elias in chat. He'll let me know.
Yeah, Elias knows.
It just give it 7 seconds. There's a delay.
Yeah. Elias also says no prime endings are scan based. They're always items. So
yeah.
There
he is.
Cappy.
He's a little scrunched today, but
he's wearing Cappy.
Yeah.
Our guardian.
Why the short face, Elias? I think I have the 1.0 of Prime because I'm pretty sure I got it the year it came out. I just didn't get it as soon as it did. That was a Christmas gift that year. There's
a cool glitch you can do where you can get double jump extremely early, and
then I definitely
changes that game considerably.
Yes, because I do know about that because I used to watch the old back when like you uploaded like a VHS version of your run at the speed demo org.
Speed Demo Archive.
Speed Demo Archive. I used to watch that and Super Metroid like all the time, and so I have been able to do that double jump skip. So, but yeah, I think Prime definitely is a game that works better like in today's mindset of gaming, because I think a lot of gaming back then in like 2001 and 2 is very fast paced. So I guess I can kind of understand that. Like, I never thought about a game where it forced you to like stop and smell the roses while you were being shot at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you were comparing Halo and Metroid Prime at the time, which I mean are actually pretty comparable when it comes to like the two sci-fi first-person shooters, right? So
Yeah.
like if you're comparing the two, like I can see how like you might be into Halo a little bit more at the time. It's just a little bit more involved and like action heavy, and you're doing all So I get it.
Okay, Elias
Yeah,
does
but
confirm.
Metroid Prime doesn't have the library at least, so I'll give it some points for that.
There you go.
Prime 3 Wii motion ball jumping was added to Wii Trilogy Primes 1 and 2. There's your answer. I didn't know it wasn't in 2 either. I just knew it wasn't in 1. All right. And then, my number
Yours.
1 is Dread. Baby.
Yay!
I was actually going to do that the voting bit now, because I was like, it'd be hilarious if all of our number 1s was Dread, and then it turned out to be 3 and 4.
I ruined it. I'm sorry.
3 and 4.
So close.
75 ain't
Hey,
bad.
it's my number 2. That counts.
Yeah, no,
75%
that's
ain't
good.
bad.
That's good. It's up there.
It's in
I will
everybody's
say it was
list.
the best game. I will admit that. I have a personal bias towards Life is Strange, and that's the only reason why it's my number 1.
No,
Life is Strange is good too.
And I like,
Absolutely.
honestly, I think what's really fun is just like getting everyone's differing opinions, because either, especially when I used to do them as like top 5s, it would be drastically different. Like somebody's number 5 would be somebody's number 1. And so seeing like 3 out of 4 people with Dread as their number 1 is funny, but then it's also nice to get like a complete, curveball in there that's like not on anybody else's list. So that's always fun to listen to.
On our podcast, like the number 9, I think for 2 of the guys was Dread, and I'm like, oh, okay. Or like, or one's like, yeah, it's an honorable mention for me. Like, it's my number 10. I'm like, oh, okay, it's my number 1.
What?
What was their number? Well, you have to watch the podcast to find out.
Yeah, go watch Top 10 Respectives Game of the Year podcast. It's only 3 hours long. That's it.
This is only 2-ish. So hey, 2 out of 3 hours ain't bad. Yeah, look, it's not like it's a huge shock or anything. And if I played a completely different list of games, who knows what could have happened? But I did think about it. A part of me almost was like, I thought about it, was like, is it too obvious to like make Dread number 1? And that's a weird thing to think about when it's my list. But I did think about it for quite some time, and I'm like, did I want to make, if I had beaten Guardians, would that have been number 1? And I think because of all the glitches and jank, probably not. But because it was such a shock to me that it was so surprisingly good, it's like, what do you do? Had I beaten Returnal and called myself a big boy gamer, then would that have been number 1? And I think at that point it was, because it was just a phenomenal game. So yeah, Dread, I think one of the things it does really well is the flow. I think because the map is so expansive, it gives you opportunities to go back without you thinking, oh, I have to go all the way back. Like, it gives you these points where you can just zoom across the map. And right when you get something in, you're kind of thinking to yourself, oh, I could probably go back to this other place and get that one power. Here's a teleport machine that magically takes you to the room adjacent to the one with the power.
And even if you didn't have a teleporter like handy, I always felt like every time there was something on the other side of the level that I was like for, and on the map I could see it over there. I'm like, oh man, that seems like it's so far away, and you're over there in like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
like like it doesn't take long to zoom across the map, especially once you start unlocking all your power ups and stuff.
And I will agree that the bosses are non-negotiably hard. They hit like trucks. It doesn't matter how better you feel against the mooks in the area, but as soon as you get to a boss, it just like wipes you completely off the floor in like 3 hits. That part I didn't like, but the fact that you're just like the room right outside when you can come back is what I was going to bring it all around.
It's
and
very
talk about,
quick to go back and jump in and try again.
Yep, and
it does similar to Celeste and Super Meat Boy, like the fast.
Yeah, I was just about to say that exact thing. Yeah.
And the game takes a while to load. initially, but as soon as you do the resets and everything, it's fast. So yeah, I think it does a lot of like good gamer things that I wish that good gamer stuff that I wish a lot of other developers would look into and try to do themselves as well, because a lot of games that are just difficult to be difficult like to punish you for no reason. So yeah, it's almost a complete stark contrast from Returnal, where I have to start from the beginning every time. So yeah, there was just a lot of things about it and it's great to have 2D Metroid back after such a long time away. So I really, really enjoyed it. It's definitely my number one. All the games that I played, maybe except for 3 or 4, have been very wonderful experiences. So really, I won 2021.
It was me.
It was
I
me.
did it.
You were Game of the Year.
I was game. Give me the
played
award,
myself.
Jeff. Yeah, so I guess that's all of our. What are we looking forward to in 2022, especially upcoming games and games that you have not played yet?
Everything.
Kirby.
This is the first time I'm
Kirby.
excited for a Kirby game ever.
Kirby. Yeah, honestly, this is the first time I'm excited for a Kirby game too. I don't mind Kirby. I've played a bunch of them, but it has been since like Kirby 64 Crystal Shards that I've been even remotely interested in a Kirby game. Like really, really interested. So I'm ready.
Yeah, I think honestly my two favorites are 64 and Dreamland 3. And I really like Triple Deluxe, but Star Allies is also a game that occurred. For me,
I feel bad as the actual Kirby fan here. I feel awful because I'm like, I like all these Kirby games that you guys are dunking on.
I'm not
I like
dunking
Star
on it.
Allies.
It's just that it is a game that happened. It didn't like bring anything out of me. I played it. I got as close to 100% before the DLC as I could get.
Yeah, I think that's one of the problems with that game is that it needed the DLC at launch because it was missing like all these extra modes and they added later. It's just like it really should have been here right away.
So I'm cautiously optimistic about because we're taking Kirby finally into the third dimension. I know they've tried once or twice in the past, but it's mostly stuck to 2D or 2.5D. So I'm looking forward to it. I think Legends Arceus is less than a week away.
Yeah.
Yep. And I know some people I've only seen like 2 or 3 leaks because people didn't, tag it or anything. Thanks.
I've seen all the leaks.
I went looking for leaks for a second there.
You're just
I'm all in. I'm all in right now.
Yeah, you're just like Full Metal Alchemist. You saw the truth.
I'm deeply curious about how it's gonna be because I
too.
I love Pokemon to death. I really do. But the last couple of games, it's just been like a little bit of a slog for me.
Yeah.
And
same.
I'm looking for something different, and this looks really different. So I was like, I got to look at some of the leaks. So I have seen some stuff, and it does look really good. So I'm going to probably play it.
Yeah. I mean, I actually really liked Let's Go, and I really liked Sword and Shield. I'm on the same boat. I guess technically I could consider Brilliant Diamond a disappointment. I needed it for Dex completion, so it worked out for me. But I think that game really points out how bad Diamond and Pearl kind of really were. And a lot of people remember Gen 4 fondly because of Platinum.
Platinum's right there. It's right there.
Like, oh, no, you didn't like Diamond and Pearl. You really liked Platinum. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Arceus. We'll see if Breath of the Wild 2 comes out this year. Who knows?
Yeah.
I would be
You don't
very
even know what it's
happy, but who knows?
I think if it's coming out in like Dread's time slot or in like the Thanksgiving Black Friday time slot.
November.
It'll come out the day before Horizon Forbidden West or something like that.
They'll sync. It's February though.
Yeah, well, it'll come out in a
I'll
tweet.
take that.
Yeah, they'll just shadow drop Breath of the Wild too.
Yeah.
They'll just the Arceus game. Yeah, you forget that. We got the real stuff here.
Okay, could you imagine if they actually did that though? Like.
Legends
kind of
Arceus was
insane.
actually Breath of the Wild
Would
2
be-
the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't think they could actually manage to shadow drop it though. Is the thing because
No.
like they got to sell physical versions and people would leak that immediately.
Not my baby.
Our podcast makes us do a game of the year guess. So we have to guess what game we think that comes out next year will be our game of the year. And I wrote 2 down. I said, if it comes out, Breath of the Wild 2. But if that doesn't come out, Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, the 4-player beat 'em up that's coming out by the guys who did Streets of Rage 4. It looks really good.
I am looking for it. I've forgotten about it, but I actually am looking forward to it. I'm a huge Turtles in Time fan. That is like the one game that I play with one of my friends who now moved to Arizona, so it's a little bit more difficult to play that game with him. But yeah, is like I'm looking forward to that one.
Banjo-Kazooie on NSO is my game of the year next year. So.
I was gonna say that came out yesterday, so you're set. The rest of the year's a wash for Josh. He's already good.
Do I continue on with NSO? I still have a save file on my N64. Do I continue with that one?
Do it. Do both. Just play it 100 million times like I do.
And then God of War Ragnarok is my big thing. I'm looking forward to that. I've been waiting for that story to continue for a while.
I still need to finish the PS4 one.
It's good. It's super
I keep
good.
hearing that.
I know. I still haven't finished it.
I got all these honorable guesses too, like Sea of Stars, River City Girls 2, Metal Slug Tactics, Bayonetta 3.
Oh, Bayonetta 3. I still need to play 2.
Yeah, I do too. But I don't know if I really want to buy the Switch versions because I know 1 on the Switch was really janky.
I don't remember how 1 was. 2 on the Switch ran fine.
Okay.
1 on the Switch was fine. There was one area I just remember you being on a motorcycle and it was really, really bad.
Choppy. Because I was like,
it was bad.
That's the one game that's always escaped me is the first Bayonetta because I had a PS3, I didn't have an Xbox 360, and it played terribly. So I skipped it. Yeah. And then it came out on Wii U, and I do have it on Wii U. I just never played it, and now my Wii U's in the closet. So.
And it's also on Steam. Just get the Steam version.
I have a Mac.
Splatoon 3
Never mind.
is also coming out this year.
Splatoon 3 is one of my most anticipated.
Yeah,
I love Splatoon. That's probably, besides Breath of the Wild, my most anticipated, just because I know I'll pour 500 hours into it. Kirby, we said. Oxenfree 2, Lost Signals. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Nice.
Sea of Stars, like you said.
And, I love The Messenger. They did a fantastic job with that because I love Ninja Gaiden, and that is just a really well done Ninja Gaiden. So I want to see what Sea of Stars is going to be because they said, like, yeah, this is Chrono Trigger. I'm like, I love Chrono Trigger. Do it.
Well, it's going to be so good. That one, I think, will be delayed to 2023, though. I don't think.
I wouldn't be shocked, yeah.
The one game I'm actually really looking forward to as well, but it might get pushed because I don't think there's a date, is Star Ocean 6. Is that 6 now? We're on 6? Probably 6.
I think
so. I think the last
5
one
was the
5.
PS4 one, I believe.
Yes, it was. I actually really like Star Ocean. It's one of the games that like a lot of people who really love Tales might know about it because it's essentially the same game. But I really like Star Ocean, so I was happy to. I was the one guy who was very happy. I was like, that was a very successful state of play, Sony. That's all you had to do. So that and everyone else was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, don't worry about it. It's just for me. They made it for me. I asked them nicely. Technically, it's a gift from Santa, maybe.
Called up Daddy Sony.
Mr. Shoe. Can you please make them make it? I did see another one here, and I totally am. Oh, I'm very looking forward to being disappointed by Sonic Frontiers. That's the last one.
I think they delayed it enough. I think it's actually gonna be okay.
You cannot delay a Sonic game enough. It's just gonna sit on.
I don't know why, but I am gonna give them a benefit of the doubt. I think this one's gonna be okay.
We're gonna delay it till like November, and then it's just sitting on a shelf, and then like October 31st, they're like, right, we were supposed to finish that game. Oh, okay. Just push it out. We'll just do a day 3 patch. Not even a day 1 on that.
Day 30 patch.
Day 30 patch. Poor Sonic. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. I think 2022 is the real winner of 2021.
Yes.
Besides me.
It's going to be a good year for games.
Like, we're blessed because that last year sucked.
Yeah.
In my mind, nothing can beat 2014 as the worst year in gaming. I still think, without a doubt, that was one of the worst years in gaming. It had some good stuff, but
What
it
even
also
came out in
had Assassin's
2014?
Creed Unity.
2014 had
Assassin's Creed Unity. Oh my god.
Alien Isolation, Dragon Age Inquisition, Destiny, Dark Souls 2, Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor, Wolfenstein: The New Order, Bayonetta 2, South Park: Stick of Truth, Disney Infinity 2.0, Diablo 3, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I guess this was the original Mario Kart 8 release.
That's the original, yeah.
Smash Brothers for Wii U and 3DS. There was
I
some
guess
good
it was
stuff
good
there
if you
that
were a
year.
Wii U owner, but that was like a very small fraction of the video game playing community. I just remember there were so many bad. Well, I mean, 2021 had a lot of bad news. I just remember there being a lot of bad news in terms of like games coming out unfinished in 2014. And 2015 was truly, and I think that was what the first full year of PlayStation 4. And so a lot of
2015
people,
was a good
I
year for
think,
games.
Yeah.
weren't ready for that. A lot
Oh
of
yeah, it was a
lot of-
transition year. That completely explains it.
Yeah. 2021 was our transition year.
So 2022 is
Yeah.
going to be 2015.
I'm like a Mets fan. 2022 is gonna be the year, baby. All right.
Who could, who could forget the release from 2014 though? Five Nights at Freddy's. That was the start
Wow.
of that powerhouse
began.
franchise.
That was a very good year for
2014.
Markiplier. I think there were 3 Five Nights at Freddy's games that came out that year. They're very short.
there at least 2 came up according to Google.
Yeah. Very good year. Yeah, so thank you all so much for sticking around. This is one of our big boy ones. This is going to be it doesn't take me that long to edit these. So, now that we're streaming them, it's so much better. Life is great. But thank
Life
you
is
all.
strange.
Some would say.
True Colors out now. Buy it today. Game of the year.
On Steam if you don't have a Mac. Let's go around the clock and we'll talk about, where can we find you? What are you up to? What is going on with you? ForestMinish, you go first.
Well, you can find me at ForestMinish on Twitter, on Twitch. Oh man, I write for Twinfinite. I am doing all sorts of stuff. I record podcasts every Thursday night at PSVG. Come check out my channel. I post everything on there.
Very good channel.
Thank you.
Very good podcast.
Thank you.
Josh, where can we find you?
Yeah.
Grinning.
So I can be found at Josh Jepson on pretty much everything. I'm on Twitch and on YouTube. I'm really trying to push YouTube pretty hard this year. I'm doing a lot more over there. I've got some really great ideas. A lot of Banjo-Kazooie related content. It just came out on the NSO, so I'm doing a Let's Play of that, an old school classic Let's Play of that. Very excited. And I've got some. I'm probably going to be starting to speed run Banjo-Kazooie this year as well. So on the Twitch channel. So look out for all that. Yeah, that's it. I have a podcast and a vlog on my second channel as well. So if you're into that sort of thing, there's a less gaming focused channel and that you can go and check out. So
I heard the Laughingboy one was like A+. That guy
is a good one. It actually really is a good one. Like I'm not just kidding. I'm not just saying
you
that.
guys.
It's good. I promise it's good. Go watch it.
And John, what's going on with you?
I'm in many places at once. My main gig is Twitch, twitch.tv/ProtonJon. I stream Monday nights, Wednesday nights, and Saturday nights. Variety streamer, so depending on the day, it could be something completely different. Mondays, we're doing game clearing. So the whole point with that is I'm beating games I've never beaten before. And right now, this month, we're doing a theme called Revenge, where I'm picking games from my childhood I could not beat, but I want to beat on stream. So far this year, we beat The Flintstones, the movie, the game for the Super Nintendo, and we beat Who Framed Roger Rabbit this week.
Oh, you did?
For the NES.
I love that. I love that idea so much.
Yeah. So this Monday, I believe we are doing Home Alone 2, Lost in New York for the Super Nintendo, and possibly The Simpsons Bart's Nightmare.
Ooh, very nice.
So that's going to be fun there. Wednesdays are variety days. It can be pretty much anything, but it usually ends up being a lot of fun. And Saturdays, my bread and butter, they're called Fortune Cookie, where chat votes to see what game we play based on a couple of random suggestions that come up from my game collection. Otherwise, I'm on 3 YouTube places. My own solo stuff, youtube.com/ProtonJon. That's Let's Play stuff, which has been on a break for a little bit, but it's coming back in February, hopefully. YouTube.com/The Runaway Guys, which is my group channel with Chugga Conroy and Nintendo Capri Sun. And you can see some videos there with Josh as well if you look at some of our classic stuff. And again, another channel on a break, youtube.com/NormalBoots, where we've done a bunch of stuff there, but that's also on a break.
Awesome. And then also top-down perspective. You can go and check. We
Yes.
all have a podcast. Wow.
Yeah, also on Thursday nights, twitch.tv/top-down perspective.
And you know, if you want to figure out what I'm up to, if you want more updates on the channel, you can subscribe here. Definitely like this video because it helps with visibility and all that. If you enjoyed watching this, you can find me over on Twitter at LaughingBoyLP. You can find more episodes of DialogBOX on this channel, youtube.com/LaughingBoyLP. And I'm figuring it out, but I'm trying to get back into gaming on Twitch, so twitch.tv. Don't go to twitch.com. Actually, it might redirect you to twitch.tv anyway. Hopefully they have bought that domain. And go find LaughingBoyLP over there. Everywhere. Same name. I try to make it as easy as possible, so ball's in your court.
Good news, they bought that domain.
They bought twitch.tv.
I had to know. I had to know.
They have to, because it's another White House issue. You can't do White 90s kids know. So yes, and then you can also find this podcast on Spotify or whatever podcasting service you listen to, as DialogBOX as well. And stay tuned for more content here, Twitch, everywhere else. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being in chat. If you were lurking, this is a really engaging chat. I had a really good time, like looking over, talking with y'all, getting some reactions. It was a good time. And thank you all, three surrounding me, for being here. Thank you
welcome.
for giving me 2 hours of your time, especially that part where I forgot to set up the layout for 3 people because I was like, I have it. And then I went into OBS and I went, I don't have it. I never did it. Oh no. And I have
You
5
learned how to
minutes.
count today. I'm so proud of you.
I now know the
You're growing
difference
so
between
fast.
3 and 4. Yeah. That's
Proud of you.
2022.
We'll work on 5 next year.
Aw, thanks, you guys. No, it was a great time talking with all of you. I love doing this episode every year because it's, it's a bonding exercise, as corporate would call it.
Yeah.
But until next time, thank you all for being here. Thank you for being in chat. Thank you for listening and watching. And we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Now
Bye,
I have
everybody.
to scrub over because I didn't even fix this on. Good night.